landed minutes later back at a launch pad. The company said the capsule, which was flying autonomously, parachuted to a nearby site and was recovered. Bezos wrote on Twitter, "Perfect booster landing." Blue Origin declined further comment on the test, but did say on Twitter, "Congrats, Blue Team, on today's flight." Saturday's flight marks the third successful launch and land for the rocket, with similar missions completed in January and November. Bezos, the founder of Amazon.com, said earlier this month that Blue Origin expects to begin crewed test flights in the New Shepard next year and begin flying passengers as early as 2018. Blue Origin and SpaceX, owned by Elon Musk, are among a handful of companies working to develop rockets that can fly themselves back to Earth so they can be refurbished and flown again, potentially slashing launch cost. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Following reports of a newly posted job listing at area marketing firm Swenson Digital, The Onion spoke to a few of the 1,400 applicants who claim they are, quote, absolutely perfect for this position.
When I first saw this opening, I knew it was right for me. I've got tons of experience. I've got all the skills they're looking for.
If you look at my resume, I've got everything they're looking for. I mean, I've held similar jobs like this in the past. I'm extremely driven. I really think this is going to work out.
I've got a BA in marketing, which the posting said was recommended, so I think that'll bode really well for me. I've had plenty of team experience, and I think that would stand out. Not to mention the fact that I'm great with
web design and HTML, and pretty proficient with Excel and PowerPoint. Also, I think the culture is
very me, you know. I think I'd fit in well with the other employees. I also think I had a great
resume and cover letter. I think as soon as they interview me, they'll see I'm the perfect candidate.
As of this video's release, Swenson Digital had extended a job offer to an applicant who happens to be a friend of the boss's son.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live's live weekend edition. It's the Sunday edition of Free Talk Live. It's Mark with you.
And Ian.
You can call in, talk about whatever you want to talk about here on Free Talk Live. We are here. We are live. We are waiting for you. But we did bring some show prep in. And Ian, I think this is one of those situations where it's kind of difficult to pick in between. On one side, we have a story that's, turns out the troops are continuing to commit suicide at alarming rates. But
yeah, for the seventh year, very, very high for the seventh year.
Yeah, it just keeps on happening. It's not really news at this point, and there's not a lot you can say about it other than, well, this is terrible. Let's stop having so many wars. Maybe these people won't feel like doing this. They won't have terrible things happen to them.
Yeah, it would seem that they would be less likely to kill themselves if they weren't actually having to kill other human beings.
And they see that their friends and cohorts dying in terrible ways and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, guilt is considered the number one reason for PTSD. Also, the government doesn't let them have drugs that have been shown to treat PTSD, like marijuana and MDMA. These are turns out the government is the cause of these people committing suicide, but everybody wants to wave the flags and support the troops, when in fact the kind of support the troops need is for you to stop waving the flag. But whatever. I know that that's a tough one. It's not really news. What is news is there's some people in Missouri who are having their garden taken away from them. We have this happen pretty regular here in America.
Well, I mean, it's not that regular because we've only probably reported on it once or twice in the decade that we've been doing the show. Not that we would necessarily know of all the instances of people being targeted for gardening, but it has happened again in Sugar Creek, Missouri, from KSHB.com. And don't a lot of the troops believe they're fighting for freedom?
I would think so. You would think one of those freedoms would be the freedom to have a garden.
Like plant your own food. That's kind of an independent, freedom-oriented thing. You're disconnecting yourself from the grocery store network, the
Plus
reliance.
You have lots better tomatoes.
The reliance on other human beings. And you're in total control over your food. At least that's what you'd like to think until the government shows up. There's a new ordinance in Sugar Creek that restricts the use of agriculture on properties in the city. Nathan Adams believes it's a witch hunt against him. Or excuse me, Athens is his last name. Athens grows several different types of vegetables on his lawn and loves tending to his garden.
Makes a lot more sense to me to grow vegetables than it does to be an urban grass farmer. Or suburban grass farmer, as the case may be.
Totally. I mean, as far as, if you're in the city, you only have so much room in which you can, if you've got a small lot, you got to maximize your usage of that. And turning it into a garden makes a whole lot more sense than just this stupid grass. I've never liked grass.
Yeah.
Never made sense to me.
I've never been a fan of it either. It is an easy thing to have.
No, it's not. You got to cut it all the damn time.
Well, but gardens are more work than grass.
Sure, I'll give you that.
But they feed you, and the food's better. And, we got to talk about lawnmowers. These things are awful, pollution-spewing things that are expensive to maintain, and when every home has a lawnmower and that lawnmower is used every other week, it's a really inefficient use of machinery and metallurgy and that kind of thing. It just doesn't make much sense. So I'm against them for lots of reasons.
We'll tell you more about what's going on with the Athens family garden here in a minute.
Yeah, but I want to go to Sarah calling in from New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes. I just want to let you know about the a lawsuit against Redflex.
What is Redflex? Redflex?
Yeah, they're the red light camera company out of Arizona.
Okay.
And they ran our red light cameras for about 7 to 8 years in Albuquerque. And now they had a class action suit against them. So all the people that ignored the tickets, that tore up the tickets, and it was on their credit. And now they have to pay those people $200 each, like
really?
40,000 people.
How'd the class action suit come down? I don't know the specifics of this.
Well, I want to explain. I said, how could that be? These people actually sped, ran red lights, broke traffic laws, and they ignored the tickets. And now they have to pay them $200. I'm like, this is nonsense.
Well, I can tell you one thing about the red light cameras that's really a problem is they kill people. So here's what happens, is that municipalities put in red light cameras and they make some money because everybody who runs a red light, has to give them some money. So then companies like Redflex, they're in between. And so they take in some money, they take a cut, they send it off to Albuquerque, right? And then Albuquerque gets to really liking this. And then what happens is people get used to the red light cameras and they stop running them because they don't want to pay the fine. And that should make every municipality happy, but it doesn't.
Because they want the money.
Because it turns out they get fat and sassy on all that money, and then they start lowering the yellow light time. And then people
Making
begin
it more likely someone's going to run the red.
Well, yeah, that's what their hope is. Yeah. But what happens is that people begin slamming their feet onto the brake, not wanting to get the ticket. They can't check their rear view mirror in time, and then the person behind them slams into them from behind. So ultimately, if there's enough automobile accidents, some people die. Sometimes the right thing to do, the safe thing to do, is to run the light if you think the person behind you isn't paying enough attention.
Yeah, but you know what? I live in New Mexico. There's like 3 to 5 cars that run a red light. I mean, but the actual suit came down to is not the camera itself. It's the credit watch. The company that they hired was calling sometimes the people that already paid the tickets.
Yeah.
And that's what the suit involves is that I already paid the ticket. You called me 15 times. I did not even get a ticket. You're harassing me. And then they got wrong phone numbers. And that's where they're getting it from, not the validity of their tickets or actually the tickets and the camera itself. And I was thinking that, crime does pay. Because as far as I'm concerned, these are violators that could have put other people's lives at danger.
Well, not everybody who runs a red light is putting someone in danger. I mean, I've been at countless intersections where there's no one else around, and it's not a problem to run through a red light at that time.
A lot of times a red light will one of these red light tickets will kick out if you don't come to a full and complete stop when making a right-hand turn. or something like that too. So I guess here's what I think. Redflex enterprised off of a lot of people who didn't deserve tickets. They made a lot of money on it. So if they've got to kick back some money to some people who statistically don't deserve the money, I guess I don't really care. They made deals with the devil because these local governments didn't mind if they were killing kids with their lower yellow lights. So when I look at the list of villains, I'll agree with you that red light runners are on the list of villains. I just believe that the municipalities and Redflex are higher on that list.
But here's the thing. Here's the difference is that I told you that we're number one in pedestrian fatalities now. They only killed like 71 pedestrians last year. And when we have the red light cameras, we were lowest as the seventh in the nation. So that year we only killed like 47 as opposed to 71 this year. So, so there is an increase.
But I guess Redflex better learn how to run a frickin' company, huh?
Thanks for the call.
Thanks for the call. I don't know what else to say. I mean, red light cameras have been shown over and over again to be ineffective in the sense that these municipalities, they want the money. So Redflex has gone along with this. They've contributed to this. They are accessories to this crime. And if municipalities didn't get greedy and lower yellow light times, then people like me would never have a gripe. But they did because they're greedy, and they don't care about pedestrian fatalities. They care about the money.
Right, and it's just like with the Robin Hooding here in Keene, New Hampshire, where the city government acted like these activists who were putting money in people's expired meters were somehow threatening the meter maids or intimidating them, when in fact what they were really doing was depriving the city of the ticket revenue.
They are threatening the meter maids in the sense that if revenue goes down from meters, the meter maids will have to go get different jobs because the city won't be able to support them.
Nah, they just raise taxes somewhere else.
They might be able to do that, but they could feel threatened. Like threat to some extent is a feeling.
It's all about the money, Mark.
It's about the money. 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Free Talk Live.
Imagine your life 5 years from now. Are you on the path you want to be on? It's time to take control of your future by getting a world-class education at the nation's top universities. Arizona State University is now offering over 100 top-tier degree programs 100% online. It's the exact same degree our on-campus students receive, but you can learn from anywhere in the country on your own schedule. For information, call 1-800-939-9426. Learn from ASU's world-renowned faculty and use ASU's global recognition to improve your visibility, professional network, and gain real-world experience you can start using today. The Wall Street Journal ranked ASU 5th in the nation for producing the best qualified graduates. Now discover how ASU Online can stand out on your resume and help separate you from the competition. We're ready to help you learn to thrive in your life, in your career, and beyond. To learn more about ASU online degrees, call 1-800-939-9426. That's 1-800-939-9426.
Are you worried about your mom or dad living alone in their house? Hi, I'm Joan London. Listen, I know how difficult it is to find senior care for someone you love. That's why I recommend a free service called A Place for Mom. They are the nation's largest senior living referral service. Call A Place for Mom today.
To receive free information on senior living communities in your area, call A Place for Mom at 1-800-704-6182.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. If you have questions about senior care for your mom or dad, there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
Call A Place for Mom in the next 10 minutes to get your free ebook on financing senior care as well as free information on senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-704-6182. That's 1-800-704-6182.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com. Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
You can watch the LRN Studio Cam and chat with other listeners anytime at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, the number. If you want to talk about, red light cameras, as a gal from New Mexico just called in and talked about.
She's like the only person who
Sarah.
I've ever heard say something nice about red light cameras. Most people hate those things.
I had never heard the pedestrian argument, and it could be that red light cameras are beneficial to pedestrians.
I'm sorry. Look both ways, all right? I'm sick and tired of these pedestrians who just walk out into traffic as though everyone's paying attention to them. I'm paying attention, but not every driver is necessarily paying attention. You know, you've got to walk defensively just like you should drive defensively.
It does seem crazy that people are looking at their phones and getting swatted by cars. There's no doubt about that.
Some of them just not looking at phones. Like here in New Hampshire,
there's times when it's the car's fault. There's no doubt about it. But there's times when it's the pedestrian's fault, too.
As far as I'm concerned, if you're a pedestrian, the only way it's not your fault is if you're on the sidewalk and the car comes careening into you.
It happens.
Okay? I'm sure that happens, but not very often, right? You know, as far as like the classic movie scene where the car's just rolling down the sidewalk, running into tables and things like that, doesn't happen that often.
Or the little old lady could be using her walker to get across the street when the light is red, and somebody just rams right through the light, isn't paying attention, rams through the light and kills the old lady. I'm sure that's happened too. I'm of the opinion that if you push the little button for walking, that should only be for the geriatrics and people with babies. That an adult should be able to get across the street generally on their own. Now, I get it if there's a bunch of traffic and there's no getting across. I get that. But somehow or another, I managed to dance across streets without making people tap their brakes. And I don't know. I mean, is this my young person privilege at 45 years old? I don't get it.
Toll-free number tonight is 855-450-FREE. Also, we'll talk more about the folks who've had their garden attacked by a town government here.
Let's go to Dave calling in from New Hampshire. Dave, you're on Free Talk Live.
Oh, I'm coming back. I'm on my way. I'm getting off of speakerphone. Okay, here I am.
Okay.
Go ahead, Dave.
Here you are.
What's up?
I wanted to tell you, well, I have already told you a little bit about this situation in the Timberlane School District in New Hampshire. Where
Timberland?
The bureaucrat... Timberlane.
Okay.
Yes. Where the bureaucrats there... someone is trying to restrict some of the politicians there from... one of the politicians is restricted from going into one of the schools, right?
Okay.
Why is that?
Donna Green. I don't know exactly what they accuse her of, but for some reason, she had some sort of interaction inside one of the schools with one of the bureaucrats, and they had a problem with it. So they said, well, she can't come back into the school anymore.
The hallowed halls of our school.
Right.
Okay.
Well, now something else has happened that I think is even more interesting than that, and that she's claiming. This is a quote from her. Quote, by policy, school board members are not permitted any contact with district staff apart from the superintendent and his assistant unless they have children in the schools, unquote. So, to me, I've never heard of that before.
How can that be?
I've heard of a lot of things.
How could a school board member? So wait, you're saying all school board members in this town are prohibited from talking to people who work for the school board?
The school.
That's what she claims, and she's a member of the school board.
That just doesn't even compute. Like, how could that even be possible?
I guess the idea is that the teachers are the workers and the principal is the management, and the workers shouldn't be talking to the owners. Only the management should be talking to the owners, is the idea.
Yeah, she said, quote, no staff will return my phone calls, and all my emails are redirected automatically to the superintendent. I get his out-of-office message when I email a school principal asking after a charitable event, for example, unquote. So it's another one of those things that's probably happening in a school district near you, but it's not getting much attention. At least here they're talking about it a little bit.
It's all corrupt and weird. That's for sure.
Because most people don't pay attention. I mean, look, I've been to these school board meetings before, and the only time you ever see another human being at one of these meetings
is if they're going to be running soon for school board.
Well, there's that, but also sometimes, like a certain parent group, let's say their kids go to the art class or whatever, they want
extra
something.
funding.
Yeah, if they want something, they'll show up. They'll wait until their issue is heard by the board, and then they'll all go away.
They leave.
So almost no one actually goes to these meetings and stays for an entire meeting. It just doesn't happen. People don't know what is going on. Even though there's all this supposed accountability here in Keene, New Hampshire, which is the seventh largest city in New Hampshire, there's a TV crew recording all of these school board meetings. So in theory, someone could be at home watching it. So maybe there's someone watching over the video feed. But generally, the participation at these public meetings, whether it's school board, city council, or whatever, is next to zero.
And what you'll definitely find is people that want smaller government, want their schools to be run more efficiently. Those people, they don't participate at all. They just sit around and wish that it would happen. And
you can't blame them.
I can't blame them. The bureaucracy is mind numbing.
Right.
It's mind numbingly boring, and I believe that I believe that is by design. That is mind numbingly
absolutely.
boring.
But then they complain that no one's showing up.
Right. But what they won't say is you know what we should do? We should allow people to choose not to pay to support the school. Because when you say something like that, it just sounds like it's so radical to these people. Well, for God's sakes, you don't want to participate in it. Nobody wants to participate in it. The school is, I'm going to, 99.99% of government schools are the worst school in their given district. Or the only school they are eclipsed by is another government school.
Yeah, certainly the private schools
always perform better.
Go ahead, Dave.
I remember something Mark said a while back when we both were at the same Keene school board meeting, essentially. And I think it had gone on for 5 hours, right? If you count the secret meetings that they had before their real meeting, which I think was followed by another secret meeting. And I mentioned to Mark that it had been 5 hours, but I don't think he was there the whole time. And he's like, yeah, I can't remember how you put it, Mark, but it was something like, yeah, if you don't go to our 5-hour meeting every 2 weeks, you can't complain.
Right, you have no right to complain, and that's really the concept that it comes down to. They make these things marathons. Thanks for the call, Dave. Appreciate it. They make these things marathons.
That was Dave Ridley from RidleyReport.com. So anyone who wants to see his video of this, I'm sure he's going to make something of that.
It is not going to be 5 hours long. It'll be 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Yeah.
And that's you have to participate to know just how bad these things are. The idea that somehow our nation would slip below other nations in schooling if we didn't have the government schools run the way they are today is patently ridiculous. It's already among the industrialized nations of the world, not in the top 75%.
Well, and I think I pointed this out the other night. Look, if you've got a bad idea, you can prove it's a bad idea by forcing people to pay for it. If it's a good idea, you don't have to force people to pay for it. They'll pony up.
They're good. Your good schools, they get money.
Right.
And it ultimately comes down to, if you're worried about poor people not getting an education, then why isn't there a need-based scholarship program for kids that they can then take to other schools and make some kind of use of?
Harmful bacteria, allergens, bedbugs, dust mites, fleas in your home with the Ladybug Steam Vapor System. The Ladybug dives deep on surfaces without any toxic residue. Traditional control agents contain toxic chemicals which do more harm than good. Sanitize and disinfect using just water. Quick, fast, and surprisingly easy.
Find out more now by calling 800-997-6584. Ask for Randy. That's 800-997-6584. Or go to advap.com/GCN. That's advap.com/GCN.
Bad news, Americans. You're probably stockpiling for a disaster all wrong. When the big one comes, you'll need more than that poisonous, oversalted survival food you now see everywhere. There are 3 vital things that your survival food is missing, and it's the first thing to disappear from grocery stores. Go to superfoodradio.com now to see my story of how I nearly died when I was forced to live on a popular survival food. That's superfoodradio.com, and I'll show you how everything you've been told about survival food is dead wrong. Go to superfoodradio.com now.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Arcade City is a ride-sharing app built by drivers for drivers. It's more decentralized than Uber and Lyft. With Arcade City, you can keep all of what you earn. Sign up now to drive for Arcade City at arcade.freetalklive.com. Arcade City was created by New Hampshire liberty activist Christopher David. When he publicized the idea in January 2016, he hoped to recruit 100 drivers by the end of the month. Instead, he blew past his goal with over 1,300 drivers signing up in just 2 weeks. Arcade City is connecting drivers directly with riders and is disrupting the already disrupted transportation industry. If you want to get involved, you can join as a rider or a driver. To ride with Arcade City, visit arcaderide.freetalklive.com. To drive with Arcade City, visit arcade.freetalklive.com. That's arcade.freetalklive.com to drive, or arcaderide.freetalklive.com to ride with Arcade City.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live's Live Sunday edition. It is Mark with you.
And Ian.
You can call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. We've been, chit-chatting about school boards and red light cameras and apparently Sugar Creek, Missouri shutting down a garden that some guy had, which, those gardeners, you can't trust them. You can't trust gardeners. The number's 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Also, you can use Skype. I don't think there's very many radio programs in America that allow you to call in on the great phone quality that is Skype. And Free Talk Live is one of the very few. So there you go. The username is lrn.fm, and you'll sound great. Username lrn.fm on Skype. Let's go to the phones. Tom calling in from New Hampshire. Tom, you are on Free Talk Live.
A lot of people who file a federal income tax return have money coming back. But what percentage of people who file a federal income tax return owe income tax money to the federal government?
I don't know. That seems file a return and they owe. I don't know.
No one owes money to the federal government. Who the hell are they?
Because it's very important to put the word owing in quotation marks, especially if the business magazines would do that and if people would call it a so-called debt. And I think I hit something when I was talking to you guys the other night about a wedding photographer who refuses to serve at a same-sex so-called wedding because, and oh boy, did I get a lecture about how insulting that is.
Yeah, it's insulting.
Well, the more insulting it is, maybe the more of a deterrent it will be, the more it will deter, encourage heterosexuality. And what is going to happen?
Do you really think that anything's going to change? Come on. These people are having the sex they want to have. You don't really think that you can somehow shame them into having the right kind of sex, do you?
What's going to be interesting, here's what I'm getting at, is there's going to be a nasty lawsuit because a couple of homosexuals, one of them is working for a company, and the other one's sister dies. So the employee asks the employer for time off and gets this written notice saying, yes, we approve time off so that you can attend the funeral of your quotation mark sister-in-law quotation mark. And the fag is going to say, how dare you?
That's enough for me, thanks. I just don't like the disparaging terms. I prefer not to have them.
He's a jerk.
Well, nonetheless, I do think that businesses should be able to decide what their
I want to know which one's run by that guy so I can not go there
their policies.
And tell other people not to go.
Yeah, I think that you should not benefit off of the labor of somebody who is gay, and then say, I'm going to treat you differently than the other employees. Mm-hmm. Just can't do that. I just find it disingenuous. I don't understand why gay people would choose to work at a business like that, but I think it all should be above board, and that's all I'm looking for. If you want to be above board, that's fine. We're from Sarasota, Florida, originally, and there's lots of good Amish folks in the Pinecraft district of Sarasota. They built really fine houses there. They come down for the winter, and they run restaurants, furniture stores, and a variety of things. I wouldn't imagine for a moment that these Amish folks should have to employ a homosexual, if they're a gay person or whatever, if they don't want to. And shouldn't have to give them the benefits and that kind of thing. However, if they do, I think that they should have to recognize whatever marriage that person claims that they want to have, because to me, a marriage is just an agreement to live together, love each other, share bank accounts, do that kind of thing, to make a little family. It's just a contract. And if you're going to recognize one person's contract, then recognize another person's contract. If your religion says that you shouldn't recognize those contracts, then great. Don't employ those people. Don't benefit off their labor. That's what I think. I don't think that you should be able to sue somebody because they fired you because you're gay. Well, the fact is that customers all the time discriminate against businesses. I don't like the color of their sign, or I saw their advertisement, or I hear they hurt puppy dogs, or whatever dumb reason that customers don't go into businesses. There's businesses I don't go in here in Keene, New Hampshire, and I've got my reasons, and whatever my reasons are, my reasons. I choose not to go into those businesses. Those businesses should be able to choose, likewise, whom they serve.
Yeah, absolutely.
If they say, that guy's a free stater, I don't want to serve him, I'm not going to sue him over that. I'm just not going to do business with them.
Yeah, right. And that's one of the things I don't understand is, look, I get that these business owners, someone like Tom, for instance, can be a real jerk.
Is he a business owner?
I don't know. Okay. I'm saying someone like Tom,
right,
for instance, could be a real jerk. And people can get their panties in a wad about it. But the best thing you can do is just, post on your social networking, send the message out to your friends, hey, this guy running this business is a jerk, and then move on. To spend time suing somebody over that, I just don't understand. You're then making them more important than they really deserve to be.
I would also ask you this. Let's say you're going into the gay guy's florist or haircutting place, right? I'm just being using tropes here. You go into their place of business, and you wear a shirt that says, queers are dumb, right? And should he be required to serve you?
No, of course not.
I don't think he should, not for a moment. And I think that every business, for whatever their reason is, good, bad, or indifferent, should be able to choose to serve or not serve people based on what they want. And that goes for color and whatever, because I want this stuff above board. I want to know.
There's a men's-only barber shop here in Keene. They only serve men. Should they be forced to take female clients? I say no.
No, I mean, you should be able to specialize.
Right.
If that's what you want to do. You want to specialize in men's haircuts? Great.
And it may not just be specializing. It may be that you want an environment that's a man's environment, right?
Yeah, sure.
Whatever the hell that means.
I don't know, mahogany on the walls and cigars or something,
that kind
right?
of thing.
That sounds like a man's environment. I have no idea. I don't want to go in some place that's, the cigar smoke's hanging low on the ceiling. Mm-hmm. I'm fine with mahogany. It doesn't particularly matter to me.
I've never been in there personally, but I know it exists, and I'm fine with that.
I used to work at a lifestyle magazine in Sarasota, Florida, and one of my clients was a gal that had a pink shop that sold jewelry and cut hair. And it was as feminine of a place as there possibly was to get your hair cut. But I went in there every 3 weeks or 4 weeks or whenever I got my hair cut, and I got my hair cut because this is my client. And
you're just looking to meet some girls, right?
I know. If I don't remember specifically what was going on in my life at the time that I was going there, but I know that the particular lady with whom I did business was married to a police officer, a city police officer in Florida. I had no intention of getting involved in whatever that mess might have been.
Yeah.
She was a very attractive woman, and the store was full of very attractive women. But it doesn't really matter. I mean, I was going into a late. Everybody I saw getting their hair cut there was a woman, and it doesn't matter to me.
And even if you
she didn't, say that she didn't want to serve me. So fine.
Yeah, but she could have, right? She could have said, Mark, I appreciate you coming here. I know that I'm buying ads from you and everything, but look, we're going to have our business meeting somewhere else. This is an environment where we want our female customers to be able to talk openly about men or whatever it is. Have that environment, and you being there might ruin that.
Or maybe after she cuts my hair a few times, she finds out I don't like talking to you. And that'd be fine, too.
Mm-hmm, sure.
It would be fine. As a salesperson, I'm going to continue to sell you your ads no matter what. But maybe she doesn't like me as a client. And they should be able to make their decision. It's John in Carson City calling about women's soccer players appealing to the government for equal pay with male workers. John, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hi, guys. I don't know if you saw this story, but the top female players in U.S. soccer have appealed to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, which is in charge of preventing discrimination in employment in the United States.
All right.
And I thought this was pretty ironic.
I want to hear more about it. Hold that thought. We're going to come back here to you. 855-450-FREE. This is Free Talk Live's Live Sunday edition.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. you can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $7.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees, ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
It's the Onion Radio News. Raccoon leaders call for the loosening of garbage can lids. This is Doyle Redland reporting. In a 4 a.m. speech at the group's annual Washington, D.C. convention this morning, North American Raccoon Federation President Bristletail called upon homeowners to loosen the lids of their garbage cans, providing the ring-tailed mammals with greater access to discarded food scraps during nocturnal scavenging.
Every time you seal a standard 30-gallon garbage can, as many as 6 raccoons are forced to go without their necessary daily supply of congealed baked beans, rancid cottage cheese chunks, and moldy cantaloupe rinds.
The 26-pound varmint closed his speech with a stern warning that without raccoons, possums could take over the world. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com. Why are you playing a slot machine sound for an online poker site?
Do you have a poker sound effect? Because we have a new advertiser, swcpoker.eu.
Brought to you by the same guys that did Seals with Clubs.
Now they're called swcpoker.eu. It's Bitcoin Poker 2.0. They have lots of new games, including Chinese poker. The Krill leaderboard is active now. It's Bitcoin Poker from the brand you trust, swcpoker.eu.
Get on over to swcpoker.eu and start playing now.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live's Live Sunday edition. It's Mark with you.
And Ian.
The number, if you want to call in and talk about, businesses discriminating and that sort of thing. That was the last topic we talked about. We've been all over the board here this evening, so whatever your topic is fine by me. The number is 855-450-3733. And on Skype, which we're going to take going back to John here in just a moment on Skype, but our username is lrn.fm. So 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
You know what? ProXPN can give you your privacy back on the internet. They are a virtual private network, and they encrypt your data from your computer or mobile device. And so whether you're using Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, or Linux, they can help you out. And ProXPN, by the way, keeps no logs of your activities whatsoever. And you can, if you're a Windows user, ask ProXPN about how you can change your DNS settings for even greater anonymity. They accept credit card and even Bitcoin. If you use code FTL50, you'll get 50% off the regular monthly price for the lifetime of an annual account. It can be cheaper per month than a good cup of coffee. So use the internet the way it was meant to be used. Go to proxpn.com now and use code FTL50 to take back the privacy that is your right.
John calling in from Nevada. You're back on the air. John?
Hi. So I brought up the case of the top U.S. Women's soccer players have appealed to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission that they are not getting equal wages to men's players. And I think this is pretty ironic. The EEOC is set up to prevent discrimination in the workplace in the United States, but the Women's League only exists because of legal discrimination. It only exists because the Women's League is allowed to not let men play in their league.
Oh yeah, because that's kind of funny, right? So the notion is that they should be paid the same, but they don't have to compete.
Well, that's right. In fact, it's against the law for the men's team to prevent women from playing on their teams. They're allowed to choose the best players, but if the best player who shows up at their tryouts is a woman, they would be legally prevented from keeping her off the team. Just the opposite from the women. They don't have to look at any men.
They'd also be dumb to keep her off the team because a really great female player that can compete with the men, and I'm assuming that there are some, would be an attraction to these teams. People like the variety. They want to see different stuff. There'd be shirts printed up of her and all that kind of stuff.
So often when we hear about a demand for equal pay for equal work, the equal work has been diluted to a meaningless extent. Where how can you say you're doing equal work if you can't even make the other team? Now, I don't even think that equal work for equal pay is a valid concept in the first place. I think the only fair wage there is the one that someone agrees to pay you. And these women are simply trying to get the government to force someone to pay them more.
Yeah, agreed. And the only thing they're going to be successful at is getting the Women's League shut down. The amount of people that go to women's soccer isn't going to increase because these gals win their governmental case or whatever their case here against the league. They're just the same revenue is going to come in, and then people are going to say, you know what, it's not worth owning a women's soccer team. I'm going to shut this down if I can't sell it to somebody. And if they can't sell it to somebody if it's not worth running. So then they just get the whole league shut down. It's really kind of dumb. It's the same problem that many times unions have. I think we can always refer back to Hostess having some problems a couple of years ago. But there are some sports where women do really, really well. So, for instance, I'm thinking female tennis. Lots of people. I think female tennis is probably as popular as male tennis, or darned close. I would guess that girls volleyball is probably more popular. The two girl volleyball teams is more popular than two man volleyball because at least the gifs of ladies' butts on the internet that I see are certainly focus on women's volleybable. That's about all.
So
I
what
can
you're
think
saying
of.
is it's popular because of sex, not because of their agility?
I think they're fine athletes. It's difficult for women aren't going to be as tall, so they're not going to be able to compete at the net against men. But yeah, I would say that it's those tight uniforms they have and that kind of thing. Do people want to be able to leer at women in bikinis, attractive women in bikinis? And this is a really great opportunity to do it, from what I can tell. John?
Well, the women's soccer players do make the case that they are very successful in soccer, and they make the case that their teams, at least the U.S. teams, make as much profit as the men's teams
because they're paid less.
Well. No, that they bring in as much net revenue as the men's
net
team.
revenue, okay.
All right, but I still don't think this makes the case for equal pay for equal work. Say you have two restaurants in a town, a fast food restaurant and a gourmet restaurant. Now, they might both have the same number of cooks who work the same number of hours, and yet it's not the case that the gourmet cooks should be paid as much as the fast food cooks. And the reason there's a difference between the two is that the fast food cooks are easier to replace. So it may be the case with the women's league that top women players are easier to replace than top men players, and that would be a perfectly fair reason to pay them less.
I would think that you would. I agree with you. I think that these women should go and compete if they're good, and if they can bring people in to watch them. And I think they do better in the men's league. Is go compete in the men's league for the men's pay.
Well, isn't that they're suing an indicator that a strike wouldn't be effective? Like if they went on strike, what John's suggesting is they could be easily replaced. And so is that
not
why
these top women players? They couldn't.
Okay, so
no. I think it is. I think they believe that they could be replaced too easily. They would. The proper course of action for them is to either form their own league with their own management, or to go on strike and see if they can be replaced. Now, if it turns out that the owners can replace them without losing any revenues, then they haven't been treated unfairly.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Let the market decide.
Yep. Thanks for the call, John.
Let the market decide.
Thanks, John.
I don't want to see anybody getting paid less than they're worth. It's certainly not what I'm looking for, but at the same time, going to the government is not the way to do it to get better pay. I can see why people choose to do it because it's successful, and people want to be successful. Let's go to Audie calling in from Idaho. Audie, you're on Free Talk Live.
Good morning, guys, or good afternoon, guys. Sorry. I just want to follow up on this whole conversation because I don't think these details are well known to a lot of people. But men's soccer between MLS and the U.S. men's national team, their revenue last year was they lost $2.5 million.
Okay.
And then women's
that was their revenue. Or that was their profit. Their profit and loss.
That was their profit loss.
So they're losing money.
They're losing money. The women's had a profit of $16 million.
Okay. Huh.
So they're making the most amount of money for U.S. soccer.
So it sounds like the male soccer players need to get a pay cut.
Well,
I think that's a legitimate argument.
If I cared how people ran their businesses, but I generally don't go running around looking for the P&Ls of the places that I do business with. That's just the concern of the employees.
Well, me neither. But if you're losing $2 million in a year, and you've been around for a while, that's probably not a good indicator.
How many teams are there for women's teams? How many teams are there?
I don't know off the top of my head.
If there's a $16 million profit and there's 16 women's teams, then you're only talking about $1 million per team. I would imagine we're talking about players, something like 15 of them. You start splitting that up, you're not talking about a hell of a lot of money. Plus, the owner has to make something to own the team. It sounds like the women's teams are just functioning as a business and the men's team isn't at all.
I think that's a fair argument, but I just wanted to bring up that profit margin. But anyway, you guys have a great day.
Thanks, Audie. I appreciate the call. Yeah, I mean, the men's soccer is either being run poorly or it is being subsidized by World Soccer, FIFA, or something like that. And there's every indication that FIFA is a very messed up organization run like gangsters. So, I don't know how to deal with that. But again, I don't think that demanding that the women's soccer league run like the poorly runs men's soccer league is going to be good for any of the players. Yes, I would be upset if I was a female player and not getting paid like that. Free Talk Live.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com. Here's a good idea. When you have a legal matter like creating your will or legally setting up a business with a corporation or LLC, you don't necessarily need a law firm. Use LegalZoom.com. At LegalZoom.com, you answer straightforward questions online, and they take care of the rest. They even review your answers for common mistakes and guarantee your satisfaction. Free Talk Live listeners, you'll get 10% off your order by typing in FTL in the referral box at purchase. Don't procrastinate with these important legal documents. LegalZoom.com.
Cryptocurrency and peer-to-peer tech developments happen fast. Stay in the loop with the Daily Decrypt, a new video channel and podcast that will keep you on top of the latest innovations in crypto finance, security, networking, transportation, and gadgetry like drones and 3D printers. Subscribe to the Daily Decrypt on YouTube and SoundCloud and be an early adopter of the future. The Daily Decrypt.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Sunday, April 3rd, 2016. Silver is trading at $15.05 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,222 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $422. Antiwar.com reports Iraqi Prime Minister Haider Abadi's proposed cabinet is not off to a particularly auspicious start, as his oil ministry nominee, Nazir Salim Numan, has already withdrawn his candidacy from the post, citing the lack of support from the Kurdish ruling parties. Numan, a Kurdish geologist, was seen as a key technocrat nominee and one that would end years of conflict with the Kurdistan regional government over oil revenue sharing. He was seen as mostly apolitical and a break from corrupt predecessors. The problem is he apparently doesn't want the job, and the Kurdish parties are complaining they had no input at all on Abadi's cabinet nominees, with former Iraqi Foreign Minister Hoshyar Zebari, a top Kurdish official, saying the Kurdistan regional government will not allow Abadi to impose a cabinet on them. Abadi likely did not have the option of waiting for more input from the Kurds, however, as he was facing a 3-day ultimatum to announce a cabinet and just barely met the deadline as it was. If the cabinet fails, it likely will take Abadi with it. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports the federal government announced Friday a satellite intelligence facility that employs about 3,000 people will remain in St. Louis instead of moving to Illinois. The announcement, heralded by Missouri Governor Jay Nixon and other local, state, and federally elected officials, means a new construction project worth about $1 billion and another $750 million in equipment for the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, NGA, facility in the city of St. Louis. Nixon said the bidding process was competitive and heralded Missouri salary for coming out on top. The NGA already has a facility in the area, and the new one would serve as its replacement. In an email obtained by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, NGA Director Robert Cardillo said in an email the decision on where to build came down to a preference for an urban setting as a recruiting tool for future employees. The other site in contention was St. Clair County, Illinois, where officials had hoped the presence of Scott Air Force Base would help lure the massive federal project while also shoring up the airbase in future rounds of government cutbacks and transfers. FPP Radio News is brought to you by Bitcoin Not Bombs. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system and to fully capitalize on that decision in their fundraising efforts. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com. Reuters reports Blue Origin, the space transportation company owned by Jeff Bezos, successfully launched and landed for the third time a suborbital rocket capable of carrying 6 passengers, taking another step on its path in developing reusable boosters, according to the company on Saturday. The New Shepard rocket and capsule blasted off from a launch site in West Texas on Saturday at an undisclosed time and landed minutes later back at a launch pad. The company said the capsule, which was flying autonomously, parachuted to a nearby site and was recovered. Bezos wrote on Twitter, "Perfect booster landing." Blue Origin declined further comment on the test, but did say on Twitter, "Congrats, Blue Team, on today's flight." Saturday's flight marks the third successful launch and land for the rocket, with similar missions completed in January and November. Bezos, the founder of Amazon.com, said earlier this month that Blue Origin expects to begin crewed test flights in the New Shepard next year and begin flying passengers as early as 2018. Blue Origin and SpaceX, owned by Elon Musk, are among a handful of companies working to develop rockets that can fly themselves back to Earth so they can be refurbished and flown again, potentially slashing launch cost. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
We're being attacked by news from all sides in tonight's News Blitz. Now we're homing in on Houston, Texas, where NASA announced today that the crew of the International Space Station has successfully completed their 13-year mission studying man's ability to constantly repair a large object in space. NASA officials hailed the remarkable feat of maintenance at a press conference this afternoon.
And throughout human history, man has gazed at the stars and dreamed of fixing something up there. People once thought the ultimate feat in human repair was a really big boat. Today, we've accomplished so much more.
This comes in the wake of NASA's previous success, finding out how many times an astronaut could hold something in his hand, then let it go, watch it float in front of his face for a bit, then catch it again. All right, dust yourself off. You have survived the News Blitz.
Tune in tomorrow morning to Today Now. We'll look back at Jim's week as a polygamist.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live's live Sunday edition, and you can call in and talk about whatever's on your mind. We have been all over the board this evening. We were just touching on women's soccer and equal pay for men's soccer in the last hour.
Daryl informed us that apparently there is not a women's soccer league, at least not the one that's being discussed.
This isn't discussing that. This is the U.S. team, apparently.
Maybe there is a women's soccer league, but the one that
I'm certain there must be.
The one we were discussing, inadvertently, we didn't know. This was just one team where certain players are suing.
That's correct. Okay. Basically, the women's team isn't getting paid what the men's team is, and
a fraction of it apparently.
It really doesn't look. Looking at the numbers in this particular article from ESPN, it doesn't look particularly fair to me, and I don't understand why the numbers are the way they are. I do believe that over time, the marketplace is the best way to determine what a person's individual pay is worth.
Start a new team.
Sometimes you got to fight for it.
Yeah.
And that's the way that is. The most I've ever made in a year, I made working in my own business. The least I've ever made in a year, I made working in my own business.
Sure.
And those are decisions I made in order to make better money. It's Mark with you.
And Ian.
855-450-FREE. Let's go to Armed Truth calling in from the West Coast. Armed Truth, you're on Free Talk Live. Hello.
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Hey.
I'm just calling regarding the numbers that are being put out with the women's team, or, the women's national team. And then I don't know if the $12 million, $2 million loss, if that was for Major League Soccer, which is the, United States League for men's soccer, or if that's the men's national team.
I think it's the men's national team. I imagine we don't have all the facts when it comes into these circumstances, but I can tell you that here in the first line of the ESPN article, so therefore they are responsible for these numbers, the filings citing figures from the USSF's 2015 financial report says that despite the women's teams generating nearly $20 million more revenue last year than the U.S. men's team, the women are paid about a quarter of what the men earn. Going on a little further in the article, because this is sort of relevant too, is that a woman could earn about $100,000 each if they won 20 friendlies, and I guess that's the games, the minimum number they are required to play in each year. But the men would likely earn about $263,000, so that's 2.6 times what they would earn for each of the same feat, and would get $100,000 even if they lost all 20 games. So they get paid the same as the women if they lost. Additionally, the women get paid nothing for playing more than 20 games, while men get between $5,000 and $17,000 each for each game played beyond 20.
Okay, and the reason is basically, so I think they're talking about the national team.
Yes, they are.
Compared to MLS. The reason is because, it's like the NBA and the WNBA and men's college basketball and women's college basketball. The women, I believe, I'm 90% sure, had there was the FIFA Women's World Cup last summer. So the women's team is going to make a ton of national team is going to make a lot of money because it's every 4 years they have the World Cup. So the women's team American women's soccer team is really, really good. Okay. They won last 2 World Cups ago and did really well last. But that's their time to shine is when the World Cup goes on.
Makes sense.
But even then, the Women's World Cup is nothing compared to if the men's national team is in a friendly, with how much soccer in the United States is growing, is they're on ESPN primetime to where even in the offseason, it's 2 years till the World Cup, the men's national team, they're going to be on primetime now, which is a lot of money on ESPN. They get paid a lot more money because they're on TV. That's where the revenue.
So you're saying the opportunity for revenue is higher for the men's team than it is for the women's team because of being on television and that sort of thing?
Yeah, and just men's soccer worldwide is more popular.
But is it true? But wait a minute. Is it true then what the other guy said, that the men's team is losing $2 million in the last year? I mean, if the revenue opportunities are so much better, how is it that they could lose money?
And why did the women make $20 million more in revenue?
And that's what I don't know if it goes into with how the U.S. Soccer Federation, how they divvy up money, or what. I'm going to need to look at the numbers because I want to see what that is. But I don't know if either the men's national team is starting to pay more for bigger players, or what exactly they're doing, because it seems strange to me
this is one of the frustrating things, right?
Money, I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, that's just what we heard from a guy who called the show, right? We take people at their word because we don't have a crack research team who's
ESPN says that the women's team generated nearly $20 million more in revenue last year than the U.S. men's team.
But that doesn't mean that the men's team lost money.
It doesn't necessarily mean that.
That's what our caller said earlier.
Well, also, I think that we need to bring into this conversation that these are the national teams. They are taking the brand, the USA brand. They're basically they're a monopoly. You cannot go create your another USA team, because they have the license for that. So what these ladies are saying is look, hey, it's fair for us to use, in this case, I would say it is fair for them to use the United States court system to determine whether or not they get to keep the brand for the U.S. team. I think that to some extent, when you get in bed with the national team, you take on the sort of rules. Now, this was Major League and Women's Major League sports, then I'd say the government should stay out of it.
Hold on. Are you saying this is some sort of government team?
It is a government team. It's the national team. Isn't that right? Armed Truth?
It's the national team. I don't know if it's necessarily the government team. I'm sure there are some subsidies that go into it, but it's not taxed.
Well, the very fact that they get the brand, they have a monopoly on the brand, makes them, is in and of itself a value that is unquantifiable, right?
Yeah, completely, because, the World Cup is every country's team that plays. So every team
you can't play in the World Cup as the Keeniacs can't play in the World Cup. Only the USA team can, and the difficulty is that how do you bargain when there's a monopoly? You don't. And so I think that they may be right in taking this to court, the only arbitration that would be available to them. I believe I may have reversed my opinion on this.
Yeah, if this is, because I was kind of confused. I thought they were going off national team revenue compared to, the National League, the Major League Soccer, which is the league, which that delves into, they take losses, but that's because, the LA Galaxy makes a killing with, they had David Beckham, but there's other teams in the Midwest that are just starting up or on the East Coast that have been taking losses, but it's all about the growth of the sport, and slowly over time they make money. So the league as a whole may be losing $2 million, but, there are teams that are making a lot of money, and they invest, MLS, and invest in other cities to build new stadiums and teams. So
because the good teams have to have bad teams to beat, and that's why the MLS plays. Thanks so much.
There's a lot to deal with to kick a damn ball around a field.
Well, I mean, if people want to buy the soccer, buy shirts to support their team, they want to watch their games, they want to get, they want to be able to watch it on TV. Yeah, there's going to be money involved. Let's go to Troy calling in from Louisiana. Troy, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, sir. My name's Troy.
Troy, we can barely hear you.
All.
Oh, whatever just
happened
better?
There.
That's a lot better.
Okay, I took off my Bluetooth. Okay, I was wanting to talk about that email that you posted yesterday on the AMP site on Facebook, Mark.
Yep.
That kind of really, I don't know if I can say the word, but
you can't.
What email?
Well, there was an email that we received that essentially was I call it a confession email from somebody who claimed to have set Free Talk Live's studio computers up with child porn. And it was written in a very strange fashion.
Stilted.
Yeah,
lots of all capital letters.
It was frightening looking, there's no doubt. It's going to be
threatening, saying we better shut down the show.
Yeah, shutting down the show, and
or else
calling
that
names.
You all will be friends. Like they sent it to you and me and several other co-hosts.
Yeah. And so there was that email.
So what about that email?
That's just wrong, man. Y'all deserve awards for what y'all are doing up there. Not that kind of crap.
This is just what happens. I mean, if you get on the radio and you talk about changing things, people who don't like change or are threatened by it are going to get angry. I mean, that's just been
and a lot of them will play dirty pool. And you're right, Troy. They're playing dirty pool. I'm glad they sent it though, because it certainly can't hurt us. Free Talk Live.
Have you ever thought you'd like to flip houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? Are you ready to be your own boss so you can start living the good life? Hi, I'm Preston Ely. I used to be so broke. I had my electricity turned off 9 times. But I figured out a way to quit my job and find financial freedom in real estate. For a limited time, I want to send you a free copy of my smash hit selling book, How to Get Rich in Real Estate. It shows you how to copy exactly what I did so you can make money from the comfort of your own home without even doing any manual labor. I've already given away 5,000 books and they're going fast. To get one before they're gone, call 1-800-960-3494. Listen, if you're sick and tired of stressing about money, this book could change your life. It's short, fun to read, easy to understand, and awesome. To find out how to get your free book while supplies last, call 1-800-960-3494. Call 1-800-960-3494. 1-800-960-3494.
Hi, Pat Matthews again. I want to talk to you about selling online. And when I say selling, I'm talking about your home, your car, and even buying a house or a new set of wheels, there's a new kid in town. And that's buysellmakeoffer.com. The revolution has already begun, and I invite you to be a part of it. You see, get in on the ground floor because buysellmakeoffer.com never charges item fees. Can you imagine what the other guys might charge you for selling a car on their site, let alone a house? Well, buysellmakeoffer.com doesn't do that. And you can use Skype and YouTube videos to sell your products, big or small. Go right now to buysellmakeoffer.com and set up your account. For as little as $7.95 per month, you can sell up to 50 items, and they'll give you the first 30 days free just to try it out. Remember, no per-item fees. Join the revolution today. buysellmakeoffer.com. And tell them Pat Matthews sent you.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Friday, gold is down $20 at $1,214 per ounce. Silver is down 50 cents at $15 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $416 US. Both silver and gold are significantly lower today. This would be a great time to buy on the dips. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live Sunday edition. We've been, that's how Free Talk Live goes. We get off on a tangent. Somebody called in about equal pay on the women's and men's national teams of soccer here on Free Talk Live, and it took us off in a whole different direction. It's Mark here with you.
And Ian, yeah, we started the show just barely scratching the surface on a story about a family who has been attacked by the government over a garden in their yard.
Yeah, and I want to get on with that.
I do want to get back to that. But if you need gardening supplies or whatever it is you need to buy from, let's say, Amazon, you can save 20% easily by using saveatpurse.com. The catch is you have to have Bitcoin in order to get the deep discounts. And you can actually choose your discount. So you decide what discounts you want, 25%, 30%. It's easily doable with saveatpurse.com, saveatpurse.com. I've used it many times, probably close to 50 at this point. SaveATPurse, saveatpurse.com.
Yeah, it's great. It's trust me, get some Bitcoin and try this out. It's well worth it. We've changed our lifestyles at my house, and we use it all the time as a result. Tell me about this garden that got shut down.
Certainly. So the story
By the way, gardens barely even had a chance to get going this year.
Well, yeah, I don't know what the weather is like down in Missouri. But
it ain't Florida, pal.
Yeah, that's true. So there's a new city ordinance in Sugar Creek, Missouri. The story's coming from KSHB.com. Nathan Athens believes there's a witch hunt against him, wherein the city has targeted him for growing vegetables on his lawn. He loves it. He loves tending to his garden. He says, I probably say about 300 hours so far this year. I spend all my free time out there. He believes it's important for his family. He says, I want my family to know where their food is coming from. I don't want to have to go to the grocery store and worry about what was done to that food. Some people are concerned about pesticides and, organic growing measures and things like that. However, neighbors and city officials don't see the garden the same way. Last summer, the city...
I love, if he's spending 300 hours on that thing, it's likely not an eyesore, but I love a good garden.
Well, to you it's not an eyesore, but to a busybody neighbor who loves a perfectly manicured lawn with just grass.
Somebody's out in their front yard, I better call the police.
Yeah, someone like that, they want to see every yard exactly the same. They want to live in that kind of manicured, perfect neighborhood where no blade of grass is above 4 inches tall at all times. These people exist.
Oh,
right?
yes, they do.
So, and their belief
I used to live in a neighborhood where you couldn't have a bush above your hedges had to be a certain height.
Right.
And they couldn't be too high because they didn't want you to obscure the front of your house.
And that's scratching the surface of the stupid neighborhood Nazi rules that likely were involved in that neighborhood.
But every once in a while, somebody would get in the sights of somebody else, and they did have a homeowners association and that kind of thing. And there'd be disputes over what constituted a bush and what constituted a tree. So you could have a tree in your front yard, but you couldn't have a bush above, I think it's 3 feet. Well, one time, as the story goes, I wasn't there. I don't know what the specifics are, but a neighbor was telling me what happened is he had a king sago. If anybody is familiar with this, it's a very ancient plant, and it's kind of like a short palm tree. And his sago was above 3 feet, so he had to trim it. But the trunk was above 3 feet. So if you trim it, you just kill it. It's just a big, it looks like a big cigar coming out of the ground if you cut the top of this thing off. Yeah. I don't know how to describe it other than...
It's like a mini palm tree
the
thing.
The notion of trimming a king sago is stupid.
Yeah.
They get as big as they get. And
so he had to trim it, or what ended up happening?
They just killed the plant.
Wow.
Just took it out.
And you lived in this neighborhood?
I did, yeah. I lived there quite some time. You came there to Whitfield Country Club Estates.
Oh, boy. And so, people fight over this petty crap. Now, I don't know if this is a deed restriction. I don't think it is. This is city ordinance.
I'd like to point out there are king sagos all over Whitfield Country Club Estates. They're just everywhere.
So this guy was targeted then.
Or he was telling me some BS story. I don't know. I don't know why he would, but I can't say that I've seen the paperwork on this particular incident, but I would say yes, that he probably was targeted. It's probably because he was a mechanic and he had a car that wasn't necessarily running in his driveway.
So back to Sugar Creek, Missouri, where Mr. Athens was targeted by his busybody neighbors and the city officials who don't see the garden the same way. Last summer, the city cited him for weeds in his garden. But he said he complied. Quote, "We did it completely weed-free. We paid our citation," he said. The city's building official, Paul Loving, argued otherwise. He said, "I don't know that there would have been a problem with them had the gardens been well kept. They weren't." The new ordinance specifies that vegetation must be 30 feet from the street. And then they actually show you
30 feet? That's where your front door is.
Pretty much. So, yeah, you can have, a pineapple up by your front door or something like that. That's about it.
Not in Missouri.
Athens said he can't grow the garden in his backyard because it only gets about 2 hours of sunshine and only in certain areas. Now, this is like an exact copy of what happened in Orlando. A few years ago, maybe several years ago, on this show, there was a very similar situation in Orlando, Florida. I don't know if it was Kissimmee or wherever it was. But in that situation, you had another couple that loved to garden, and they didn't have any room in their backyard. So,
well, sometimes your backyard isn't set up for that. It depends on whether
there's not enough sunlight.
Yeah,
back
if you're
there.
north facing, south facing. I just want people to be clear. Sometimes they have privacy fences up. You'd have to tear the privacy fences down. I had a house that had some orange trees in the backyard, and it was great, and it really worked out. But sometimes the front yard's the best place for the garden.
Loving, the bureaucrat, said the city received many complaints, and the ordinance is the resolution. Quote, because I want my yard a certain way doesn't mean the neighborhood has to keep his yard the same way, but I do have an expectation that we'll all be reasonable in what we put in our front yards. You, sir, are unreasonable by having this vegetable garden.
Well, I think that what I'm hearing being said is they don't believe that it was as neat as it should be. So
the dude said he spent 300 hours on it so far this year.
That's testimony?
Yeah.
I'm as the arbiter of this situation, I'm getting the testimony that I'm getting. I hear on one side that they're saying that it's 300 hours. On the other side, I'm hearing people say this is a poorly kept garden. I can totally see how some neighborhoods would be like, you got to put your wheelbarrow away. You can't keep it out there. And, like you use netting. And oftentimes when you have a garden, you don't use the most beautiful poles for the netting. It's a garden, It's not supposed to be necessarily gorgeous, but they do have gorgeous gardens out there.
Sure.
Everybody loves a gorgeous garden. It's the ugly ones that make people angry.
Well, I'm sick of these people who are constantly worried about what other people are doing on their property. Look, as a liberty-minded person, I believe in the idea of property rights, wherein if you own something, the whole idea behind ownership is that you have the ability to control that thing. Otherwise, you don't really own it. And it really brings us to the ultimate point here is you don't really own the property. It's just an illusion. They tell you own the property, they give you some fancy pieces of paper that have your name on them, but ultimately if you don't pay the state your property taxes, they're going to take your property from you, and they'll do the same damn thing if you don't jump through the hoops here and get rid of the garden that is feeding your family. Well, it's ridiculous.
If it was a homeowners association, this would be a relatively easy thing to solve. But many neighborhoods are older than homeowners associations are, and that brings up a bit of a dilemma.
There's no dilemma here. You should be free to have a damn garden wherever the hell you want it on your property. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. This is Free Talk Live. Do you disagree?
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today. Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
My name is Angel Rach. I'm a mother of 2 teenage children, and I fought all the way to the Supreme Court for the right to use the medicine that saved my life. I've been permanently disabled for 10 years, with an inoperable brain tumor, wasting syndrome, and several other serious conditions. For 4 years, I was in a wheelchair, in so much pain I couldn't even hug my kids. The hardest part was looking in their eyes and seeing how much they were suffering because of my medical condition. The medicine that gave me my life back and gave my kids their mom back was cannabis, also known as medical marijuana. With medical marijuana, I can walk, maintain my weight, and I can be a mom. Without it, my doctors believe that I would die. To learn more about medical marijuana, contact Marijuana Policy Project at 1-877-JOIN-MPP or on the web at mpp.org.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
It's Free Talk Live, the live Sunday edition. You can call in and talk about whatever's on your mind. The number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733, and it's happened again.
Yep.
Another municipality has gone after another person with a garden in their front yard.
It can happen to you, too. Don't think that this is, some sort of unusual occurrence. I think it's only unusual because front yard gardens are unusual. I bet if more people had front yard gardens, we'd see more of these stories.
Yeah, I think about this and I see a place. I believe there should be more homeowners associations to solve this problem. And one of the difficulties is that once a neighborhood's built, you really can't. It's very, there's just no mechanism.
Sure, there is. You get 100% agreement from property owners to join a homeowners association. There you go.
I'm not entirely certain that would work, but okay.
Well, you may not be able to get 100% agreement, but if you did get 100% agreement, it would absolutely work. You would enter into a contract and create a homeowners agreement.
Yep. And then people would wonder, who's going to be in charge. But yeah,
they would write that up in the agreement.
But you would,
and then those neighborhood Nazis would come in there and come up with more stupid rules.
You're familiar with neighborhoods. Some neighborhoods are nicer than other neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. Some neighborhoods lend themselves to front yard gardens more than other neighborhoods do. And I do see how people might feel. I'm familiar with neighborhoods where you have, big, giant mansions sitting on little tiny postage stamps of lots. And there's, just this little strip in front. And I don't think that and people move into these things knowing that there may be governmental rules, zoning rules that preclude them from having gardens, and then they go in and they want to tear up the perfectly manicured lawn to put together a garden, and then leave their tools out and not paint things, and it just doesn't look that great. And I can see why the neighbors are on this street, this curvy street with a cul-de-sac at the end, say, you know what? We don't want that here.
Well, go move into a deed-restricted neighborhood then.
You want everybody else on the street to move?
Yeah. It's property rights, dude. I should be able to do what I want with my property without having to beg anyone's permission for it.
I think it's just at this point, I'm not saying it's untenable, but at this point, the mindset of people is that they go to the government because the zoning rules exist, and that where I would prefer to see something like a deed restricted community
setup. Well, these rules
setup.
didn't exist. I'd like to point that out. They went to the government. The rule saying here in Sugar Creek, Missouri, that you can't have any kind of garden plantings within 30 feet of the road, basically. So right up to your front door in most front yard cases. That ordinance did not exist until March 30th of 2016. It was after the city bureaucrats had received complaints, whatever number of complaints from whatever number of people about this, that they passed this ordinance saying, whereas this and that, making it sound all kind of fancy. And then there's also one that says that if you live in the residential estate district, then you can't have any kind of gardening going on within 50 feet of the front of the street.
This is their claimed right-of-way, right? So they claim a right-of-way through a given geographic area for their roads. Mm-hmm. It's a certain amount of feet from the center of the road. And this basically precludes most of the front yard. They say, well, in that area that we're allowed to dictate what goes on.
It may or may not be the right of way. We don't know that. That's not mentioned here in this particular story, and it's not the center of the road. It's the front of the front yard. So 30 feet from the gutter. You cannot have any kind of non-grass, anything that they consider to be an agricultural, let's see, what's the word? Type 1 agricultural use, which they put in parentheses to mean raising or growing of crops and something vegetative products. It's a picture of this ordinance, so it's hard to read a couple of the words. And foodstuffs in the open.
Yeah.
So
Well, they're going after. But what they say in the article is they wouldn't be going after this guy if his garden was well kept. He claims it is.
Doesn't say that here. That's what the article said. That's what the news article said. But this doesn't say anything about whether it's well kept or not. This just says no gardening. You cannot have any kind of food growing in your front lawn because we, the City Council of Sugar Creek, have deemed that to be the case. This is an outrage.
Well, and
it sounds like you're making excuses for it.
I have a problem with suburban life. Okay, if you
live in the woods,
I do live in the woods, and nobody's ever suggested for a moment that there's nothing I can do on my land.
I think you were wrong about that. Didn't you have some sort of issue with some guy with an airport on his property or like he has an airplane?
Right, he didn't
and
like me.
He's mad about you having a tower on your property or something like that.
No, that's the next door neighbor. He was mad about the next door neighbor.
He's mad about you cutting down trees. What was it?
He was mad that I cut down trees.
So you have had an issue.
He's mad about. Well, what do you mean I had an issue? Somebody thought something and said something to other people. Yes, that occurred.
What did he do? Did he go to the government?
There's nothing he could do. He's not in a butter. He can't say anything about me cutting trees either because I didn't sell the trees. He has no legal standing. He's just an a-hole.
But wait a minute. Maybe because you live in New Hampshire, the town governments are less likely to take action on these things. But someone like that, it's the a-holes in this case that went to the town and got a new ordinance passed.
I'm clear on that. But if you decide to live in a suburban, ticky-tack houses, tiny boxes, you want to do that, you got to understand that there's going to be some homogeny. And if you want to do something that's non-homogeneous, I support gardening. I'm all for gardening. But it's the messy gardener that messes it up for the clean gardeners, right? If you have a big thing out there that you're calling a garden, it's just a mess of weeds or whatever. Oh no, this is a garden. No, I'm going to eat those weeds, right? You're messing it up for the rest of the people who actually do want to make beautiful displays, horticultural displays that they can then eat. So yes, I think that there's a middle road.
You're passing judgment here without ever having having seen this guy's garden.
Is there a messy gardener in America?
Who cares?
That's your point. You don't care. I do. Because I understand.
Then go live in the damn woods.
I did.
Right.
And that's what I would say to somebody who wants to have a nice garden. Get out of the...
Not everyone can afford that. Maybe he lives in town because he, has to walk to work or something like that. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons why people choose
difficulties of having a suburban lifestyle.
Yeah, it sounds to me like you're making excuses for these busybodies. It's the busybodies that are the problem. They're the ones that are ruining people's property rights.
Your solution is going to be a deed-restricted community. And I'd like to point out that deed-restricted communities can suck too.
I am not saying I would live in a deed-restricted community. My solution is that the people who want to control other people's property should go live in a deed-restricted community. If you're not under deed restrictions, then you should have the freedom to choose on your own land. That's all I'm saying here.
Right. And
leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. How about
that?
A
lot of the government bureaucrats and the busybodies always want to upgrade the property value of given areas. And some areas...
But who decides what the property value is? I might value freedom more. So when I see a messy garden or somebody with some car up on a block in a front yard or washing machine sitting in an unconnected washing machine and dryer sitting garden in the carport or whatever. To me, that looks like freedom. I want to live in a place like that. That sounds good to me.
Yeah, well, there's lots of people who don't want to live there.
Good,
and
don't live there.
They deserve the communities that they want to have. And we need a better system for allowing people to have the kind of communities that they want to have. I think there should be communities where you're free to have a messy garden in your front yard. If you understand that there should be communities where people, have perfectly manicured lawns all over. And the difficulty is the transition.
But he didn't go and complain about the busybodies down the street, and I bet he could find things to complain about if he wanted to. And this is part of the problem. It creates this constant cycle of abuse and attack. So in a lot of cases, if a neighbor comes after someone else.
Right, you don't hear anything. You don't know who it is.
Well, you might be able to find out. I was able to find out when one neighbor complained about a couch.
You had to take it all the way to court.
That's correct.
And you got thrown in jail over it.
Well, that's because I didn't comply. These guys are complying.
They were ready to throw you in jail, pal. They were looking for that opportunity and did.
That's because I didn't comply. These people have complied. What I was trying to tell you is that when one neighbor comes after another neighbor, that makes it more likely that the neighbor who was come after is going to try to find something to go after the neighbor that came after him in the first place. And it just keeps going and going and going, and then we all end up with more stupid laws.
855-450-3733.
I want to hear from someone who thinks that this garden should be eliminated.
855-450-FREE, Free Talk Live. I want to hear solutions. Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Hey guys, Pat Matthews here to tell you about the newest and best way to sell products online. It's buysellmakeoffer.com, an enormously revolutionary way to sell your stuff online. It's time to clean out the garage, your old golf clubs, sports equipment, tools, and yes, even your car. Forget about the way the other guys have taken more than their share from you when the sales were finalized. Look, it's happened to me over and over and over. Then I found buysellmakeoffer.com. They will never charge you item fees. Just go there right now to sign up and load all your stuff to our server to sell. This is not an auction site. Sell your car, sell your home. Realtor, sign up now. Just use our resources along with Skype and videos, then add your creativity to sell your items quickly and with no fees. Go right now to buysellmakeoffer.com and sign up. The excitement is building. I've signed up to sell my stuff with buysellmakeoffer.com. You should too. buysellmakeoffer.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live's live Sunday edition, and it is Mark here with you.
And it's Ian.
Yep, I'm sitting in the main chair. I've been doing that most of the Sundays recently.
That's right.
I kind of like being in charge here. I can mute you anytime I want. What do you think about that?
It's only an illusion, Mark.
What? You don't have an override over there. You'd have to get up. I don't see you doing that. The number is 8. I could mute you long enough that you'd look silly as I unmuted you once you got over here. So for 2 seconds. The number is 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. And as usual, Ian is advocating for front yard anarchy. Where
I'm advocating for property rights. Property rights, the right to be able to choose what you do with what you own. And you should own the property that you believe you do. Even if you are a renter, if you've got permission from the landlord to have a front yard garden, you should be able to have so. Even if you are just subletting the property, as long as the owner is okay with it, then you should be able to have it. For listeners just tuning in, we're talking about Sugar Creek, Missouri, where a family is now being threatened over what I consider to be a fine-looking garden. We did find a picture just a moment ago while we were off the air for just a bit. Yep. And I had you take a look at it because you were saying, this garden could be ugly.
Well,
and
you
said it's not.
No, it's
you
gorgeous.
said this garden is gorgeous.
It's a fine-looking garden. It's in front of a bungalow. There's not very much frontage here. I'd say tops 40 feet on the road, so it's a pretty narrow lot.
They've used their full front yard for the garden, and that's what's offending these busybodies in the neighborhood.
It's a beautiful garden. It appears to be well kept. There's not enough room to leave tools around, so that's not the issue. This is just a garden, and it looks and it's a good looking one. On the scale of 1 to 10 as far as gardens go, I'd say there's not a lot of decoration to it except for some pinwheels out front. So they made an effort at hey, look, all kids like pinwheels, okay?
Sure, right.
So that's fun, and
it adds a little color to it.
There's a sidewalk between separating it, and so there's some grass, I assume, on the other side of the sidewalk.
So they do appear to be growing mostly food here. There's not like flowers or whatever that
no,
are.
It's not a flower garden. They wouldn't have a problem with a flower garden here.
I don't know about these people, Mark. These busybodies. What they want is uniformity between properties.
Yes,
they want.
We will have your yard look like the other yards.
That's what this is. This house is a standout house because it has this garden, and so people notice it. You drive by this house, it's going to be the one you remember when you drive through this neighborhood, unless there's some, radical paint scheme on some other home. This is the house you're going to say, whoa. And
I'd like to point out that these houses aren't palatial by any stretch of the imagination.
No, this is a small single-family home.
Yeah, it's a small single-family home.
There's two windows on the front of this house and a door.
That's not particularly, these things aren't stunning houses for rich people. These are normal houses for normal folks, and that's what I'm for. I would say that, in my estimation as the arbiter of the situation, that whoever decides that this person shouldn't be able to grow stuff in their front garden needs to, because they've done, from the picture I saw. I haven't driven through the neighborhood. I haven't seen this garden every minute of every day, but I'm going to say that the busybodies and the bureaucrats should have their heads lopped off.
I've got the petition here that the family has created.
King Mark I has spoken. I want heads.
The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. Where are the busybodies? They're cowering in their homes right now. Someone within the sound of our voice thinks that gardens should be regulated, that these people should be stopped, that their garden needs to be torn out and replaced with sod. which turns into grass, right? It's sod that turns into grass?
Well, sod is grass that's been sort of cut and picked up and dropped into a different place. And usually it's full of fire ants, and when you put it in, you're going to get bit.
They should be more, like the rest of their neighbors, conform, get in line, and look like everybody else. Here's what their petition says over at change.org, which we'll link to on our Facebook page, so you can sign their petition. The city of Sugar Creek, Missouri passed an ordinance 2 days ago on March 28th forbidding front yard gardens to grow food within the first 30 feet of front yard space from the street. Mayor Matt Mallinson both passed and approved this ordinance. They gave us until April 1st to comply. They literally gave them less than a week to jump through these hoops. We are the only house in the city with a front yard garden.
What gardening is going on before April 1st in Missouri is what I want to know. They have my experience with gardening is that you can have some perennial plants, some bushes, some berry bushes or something like that, but that's all that would sort of keep over the winter. It looks like everything there that I saw appeared to be sort of annuals, and
we don't know when the picture was taken.
Well, it was taken during the summer, late summer, early fall, because
it says last year, 2015.
Yeah, the plants are quite high,
which was supposedly the time when they. Whoa!
My wife hasn't put a plant in the ground yet.
Okay. But we're in New Hampshire. It's probably a little different.
It's a little different, but not much.
This picture was taken in 2015, and if you remember from the news that we read earlier in the hour, there was the complaints about the supposed weeds that had happened. So this picture from 2015, I don't see any weeds in that pinwheel area, which is mostly clear of any kind of plantings.
Okay, so anytime you have open ground, you're going to have weeds, and this is an organic garden from everything the guy said.
Right, and he also said he spends all of his his free time out there. To these people who are complaining about this, the whole garden is the weed. They do not want to see someone different. And as he says in his petition here, they're the only house in the entire city with a front yard garden.
Okay.
And they just happen to be exactly within the first 30 feet. They've been targeting us since we moved in last year.
That's all they have. They don't have anything for lawn otherwise.
Right. Because we grew a garden in the front yard. We had no true garden space in the backyard and decided to grow it in the front yard. We believe in sustainability, growing our food locally without pesticides and excessive fertilizer use, reducing our need for fossil fuels to import produce from other countries that have little or no regulations on pesticides. Sugar Creek is also prone to flooding as it's located next to the Missouri River, so using our yard for growing plants instead of grass is beneficial because our garden takes in water as well as holding the soil together to prevent erosion, all while filtering out pollutants. It's helped our basement not flood during storms, prevented stormwater runoff pollution, reduced fossil fuel use, helped us eat healthier, and prevented us from consuming pesticides and GMOs. The city exclusively made this ordinance for our family, and we want to fight it so we can grow our little garden in peace.
Yeah, I think I get that, and I believe that these people should be able to grow their garden. That's 100%. I just don't understand what garden might exist at this point on April 1st in Zone 7 in America. I'm from Florida. I'm familiar with some gardening that might go on in the winter in Florida, but it doesn't snow there, and there's always the possibility you're going to lose your cabbage or whatever you're growing.
Well, it doesn't matter what it looks like right now. It still doesn't look like the rest of the yards the neighborhood, and that's what's upsetting people. Or apparently in the entire city of or town or whatever of
the grass
Sugar
probably
Creek.
Hasn't even started growing in this town yet. I would be surprised if anybody has run a lawnmower over anything in Sugar Creek, Missouri as of today. It just surprised me. So the fact that they gave them until April the 1st just sounds crazy.
Now, I'm not clear exactly what the fine is that they're facing. The ordinance, the picture of the ordinance that I'm looking at doesn't specify what the fine is, so it's probably somewhere else in the Sugar Creek code where it says if you violate a town ordinance, then it'll be this amount of fine. But a lot of the times these town ordinances are written to where the fine will be accrued every single day, right?
Yes.
So if the garden's still there
$100 a day
tomorrow,
or whatever, yeah. And so
before you know it, you've racked up $20,000 in debt to the city if you don't jump through their hoops.
And you can't necessarily know for certain what qualifies. They don't give you a running total. Yes, you're they don't come by every day and say now you're at $10,000, now you're at $10,100. They don't do that. So it gets very complicated as to knowing what you are so quote unquote owe the people that claim dominion over your front yard.
I sure hope some attorney steps in to help these folks out, because it sure does sound like this ordinance is targeted specifically at them, and that doesn't sound legal to me.
Why not?
I don't know.
Why can't they make? I mean, if they pass an ordinance that covers the whole city, this is what you can do with power.
Yeah, it's sick.
It's the problem is that people believe it's a good idea to be urban grass farmers, and I just don't understand why people spend so much time and so much money in growing plants that they can't eat, and then go so far as to prevent other people from doing it too. They don't have a very big garden. They don't have a very big front yard. They're getting a few tomatoes and maybe a few ears of corn off of this thing, and that's the most they're doing.
It's a big. I mean, it's the full front yard. There's quite a few plantings in this particular.
Yeah, they're
garden.
using their space as wisely as one can, but it's nothing compared to my garden.
Well, I see what you're saying. You've got acreage.
Yeah, I mean, they're not eating too many meals exclusively out of their garden. I can tell you that. They don't have enough room for squash plants or something. So it's just. It's sad. I guess
it's terrible.
The number is 855-450-3733.
Freedom. This is freedom.
This is it. This is freedom.
Freest country in the world.
No, it's Sugar Creek, Missouri. 855-450-FREE, Free Talk Live, or LRN.FM on Skype.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com. Here's a good idea. When you have a legal matter like creating your will or legally setting up a business with a corporation or LLC, you don't necessarily need a law firm. Use LegalZoom.com. At LegalZoom.com, you answer straightforward questions online, and they take care of the rest. They even review your answers for common mistakes and guarantee your satisfaction. Free Talk Live listeners, you'll get 10% off your order by typing in FTL in the referral box at purchase. Don't procrastinate with these important legal documents. LegalZoom.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Friday, gold is down $20 at $1,214 per ounce. Silver is down 50 cents at $15 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $416 US. Both silver and gold are significantly lower today. This would be a great time to buy on the dips. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Sunday, April 3rd, 2016. Silver is trading at $15.05 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,222 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $422. Antiwar.com reports a Iraqi Prime Minister Haider Abadi's proposed cabinet is not off to a particularly auspicious start, as his oil ministry nominee, Nazir Salim Numan, has already withdrawn his candidacy from the post, citing the lack of support from the Kurdish ruling parties. Numan, a Kurdish geologist, was seen as a key technocrat nominee and one that would end years of conflict with the Kurdistan regional government over oil revenue sharing. He was seen as mostly apolitical and a break from corrupt predecessors. The problem is he apparently doesn't want the job, and the Kurdish parties are complaining they had no input at all on Abadi's cabinet nominees, with former Iraqi Foreign Minister Hoshyar Zebari, a top Kurdish official, saying the Kurdistan regional government will not allow Abadi to impose a cabinet on them. Abadi likely did not have the option of waiting for more input from the Kurds, however, as he was facing a 3-day ultimatum to announce a cabinet and just barely met the deadline as it was. If the cabinet fails, it likely will take Abadi with it. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports the federal government announced Friday a satellite intelligence facility that employs about 3,000 people will remain in St. Louis instead of moving to Illinois. The announcement, heralded by Missouri Governor Jay Nixon and other local, state, and federally elected officials, means a new construction project worth about $1 billion and another $750 million in equipment for the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, NGA, facility in the city of St. Louis. Nixon said the bidding process was competitive and heralded Missouri for coming out on top. The NGA already has a facility in the area, and the new one would serve as its replacement. In an email obtained by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, NGA Director Robert Cordillo said in an email the decision on where to build came down to a preference for an urban setting as a recruiting tool for future employees. The other site in contention was St. Clair County, Illinois, where officials had hoped the presence of Scott Air Force Base would help lure the massive federal project, while also shoring up the airbase in future rounds of government cutbacks and transfers. FPP Radio News is brought to you by Bitcoin Not Bombs. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system and to fully capitalize on that decision in their fundraising efforts. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com. Reuters reports Blue Origin, the space transportation company owned by Jeff Bezos, successfully launched and landed for the third time a suborbital rocket capable of carrying 6 passengers, taking another step on its path in developing reusable boosters, according to the company on Saturday. The New Shepard rocket and capsule blasted off from a launch site in West Texas on Saturday at an undisclosed time and landed minutes later back at a launch pad. The company said the capsule, which was flying autonomously, parachuted to a nearby site and was recovered. Bezos wrote on Twitter, "Perfect booster landing." Blue Origin declined further comment on the test, but did say on Twitter, "Congrats, Blue Team, on today's flight." Saturday's flight marks the third successful launch and land for the rocket, with similar missions completed in January and November. Bezos, the founder of Amazon.com, said earlier this month that Blue Origin expects to begin crewed test flights in the New Shepard next year and begin flying passengers as early as 2018. Blue Origin and SpaceX, owned by Elon Musk, are among a handful of companies working to develop rockets that can fly themselves back to Earth so they can be refurbished and flown again, potentially slashing launch cost. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
In Baltimore, the streets have gotten safer thanks to the success of the new Permanent Daylight Initiative, which aims to prevent crime by illuminating the entire city 24 hours a day using high-powered floodlights.
It's just that it's so bright all the time, even in the rain.
City officials say there have been 0 violent crimes since the start of the program, except for one man who vandalized the light by throwing his body off a building into it. Now let's set our crosshairs on to Mountain View, California, where Gmail servers were down for nearly 2 hours today. In an online statement, the company said, "Tremble before Google. With the mere flip of a switch, we can bring you to your knees." After reestablishing service this afternoon, Google changed its logo and released a statement saying if not appeased with a 20% increase in Google Chrome downloads by the next vernal equinox, they will take back their generous gift unto mankind of colored conversation labeling. All right, you can take off your helmet. You have survived the News Blitz.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live. The number is 855-450-3733. We've been talking about, over the last hour, busybodies. People who just can't keep their nose out of other folks' business. And then employing the powers that be to get their way. Because a busybody is in and of themselves really no threat, right? They're just annoying. I don't think you should be doing this in your front yard. I don't think you should be doing that with your trees. I don't think you should be doing this or that or the other thing. No one really cares about. They're annoying, but what's the big deal?
Well, a busybody can cause problems even if they don't go to the government. We have a group of busybodies that live here in Keene that call themselves Stop Free Keene that have been posting signage about me around town that
lies.
That alleges that I support children very young ages having sex, which I do not. But they're basically just lying to people.
They are. I mean, they're just fat lies, and they've targeted our fundraising efforts, people's fundraising efforts to replace equipment here. They're just a bunch of liars.
There's busybodies within the Liberty Movement who don't like me because of my opinions about age of consent, and they targeted me and got me removed from the Free State Project.
That's a power that be. So I did specify that they were using the powers that be, and in that case,
I thought you meant the government when you said that. These are private organizations. You can go to restaurants. Like, for instance, there's an event that's being formed that is supposed to compete with the Porcupine Freedom Festival, which is the yearly event that the Free State Project puts on. When the Free State Project banned me from that event, a number of people, more than I really, I didn't expect that much of a follow-up.
You asked people to go to PorcFest and have a good time.
I did. I don't think that I'm not interested in competing with PorcFest or anything like that. I think I wish the Free State Project the best. I hope that they can continue to bring liberty-loving people to New Hampshire. But some people decided they didn't want to go to PorcFest because I was banned from the event, and so they started looking into creating their own event. And apparently, I just got news tonight that some busybodies, now we don't know who, some busybodies apparently have called the campground that they were looking at creating the competing Porcupine Freedom Festival, the competing or the anti-Pork Fest or whatever you want to call it, and have basically said, hey, we're mad that you're considering hosting these people there. We heard something about a pedophile was what they said.
The scary word pedophile was thrown around, and that's it.
Right, so just some allegations, completely unfounded allegations, have scared this business away from having the anti-Pork Fest, apparently.
Yeah, just doing business with people. It's crazy. So, people that were never going to do business at your campground have called you.
Well, they claimed the owner of the campground, or whoever it was that emailed the anti-Pork Fest organizer, claimed that customers and others had complained. So I don't know if they verified that they were actual customers or what. So we don't know if it was the Stop Free Keeners or if it was the busybodies within the Liberty Movement or whatever.
I'm going to have to open up my property for people to come camping, I think, is what I'm going to have to do.
But, the busybodies are a real problem. They really are.
Yeah,
Personally, I just ignore them as much as I possibly can. But I understand why people are frustrated because the guy who's organizing this event is pretty disappointed in this. He's frustrated by these busybodies getting in his way. He was going to make a fun event.
Yep. There have been competitive events for PorcFest. I believe
not at the same time.
Not at the exact same time, but centered around it. So
there was Burning Pork, which happened the week after or something like that. Yeah.
And that could easily be repurposed to be an event that folks went to, and that would be what.
And that happened on private property owned by, I believe, a Free Stater or liberty-minded person.
Probably Bob Hulls. Anyway, it was a fine event. Lots of good folks there.
But this is the market speaking, and some people are able to wield that power effectively because some business owners they're honestly afraid. As I pointed out, if this campground, this other campground, which I won't name it, but if this other campground had already had this competing event there, and they knew that it was a good group of people, and that they weren't going to trash the place or whatever, and they'd already gotten in a few dozen campsites sold, I bet they would be less likely to all of a sudden pull the carpet out from underneath simply because they received a few phone calls from people complaining. So the fact that no business has been done yet, I think, is probably a major factor in why it didn't pan out.
Right, the money's not in the hand. There's no there's no refunds to give and that kind of thing. So it's just like, no thanks, we don't want the trouble, goodbye.
Well, I encountered this situation recently. There's a homeless shelter here in town. We've talked about it on the radio before. It's called 100 Nights, and
it's a great homeless shelter.
It's a privately run homeless shelter. Now, there are government-funded shelters, but the government-funded shelters basically give homeless people a place to live all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
So what you have is homeless people sleeping until 3 o'clock in the afternoon saying that they can't find jobs.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas this shelter only is open during the 100 coldest nights of the year. They
kick everybody out by 8 o'clock in the morning.
I believe it's 7 a.m. They kick everybody out, so you don't get to claim a bed. You don't get to claim a space in this shelter. It's just a place to keep the homeless people alive, and then they also have a walk-in center that they can go in and look for jobs, put together resumes, and get assistance with sort of getting their life back on track. So they really help people at this shelter. And anyway, there was a 100 Nights homeless shelter has a yearly masquerade ball that they put on, and the same group of busybodies here in town, Stop Free Keene is what they call themselves, they came up with this flyer that they put up around town making false claims about me in tandem with the same week of this 100 Nights masquerade ball. And it was written to say something like, if you're going to events in Keene, then look out for Ian Freeman. He believes blah, 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 blah. And so the idea was that they were going to pass that out outside of the masquerade ball, and they started posting on the 100 Nights page on Facebook, on the event page, and making these allegations there. They ended up 100 Nights ended up deleting their posts and then making a post saying, look, we're not taking sides on this, but this is inappropriate for our page.
Right.
And so
these people who have never donated one penny to this organization.
That was what I was going to say. So when I was at the event, I talked to one of the folks from the board of directors of 100 Nights, and he told me that they checked. They looked at the names of the people who were complaining. They looked at the names of these busybodies.
Did those busybodies claim to have given?
No.
Okay.
But they checked. They just wanted to see. Yep. So they ran a check against the database of donors for the whole time 100 Nights is, all 7 or 8 years or however long it's been around now. The whole time they've been around, and they couldn't find a single one who'd ever given 1 red cent to the organization. So they're all concerned about who they're letting into their party and, making a big deal about this, but yet never once have they supported the organization in any way, shape, or form.
I find it very difficult to be, calm and peaceful about these people.
And
They're
I donate every month.
Liars.
I donate every month to the organization, and I give them yearly donations as well as sponsoring on behalf of the Shire Free Church.
We do annual donations at about around Christmas time. That's when they're starting to open up. Yeah. I can't say that we've been willing to do the monthly donations.
So same thing is going on here, right? Where these people are trying to throw their weight around in the marketplace, but they don't have any weight to throw around. They're just anonymous trolls on the internet, and it's sad when a business owner will capitulate to anonymous trolls. That's a sad thing.
Well, I don't see why you're not saying the name of the campground that capitulated to these people. I mean, it's just you're just protecting a bunch of people.
I think it's called Mountain Lake, but I'm honestly not even sure. I haven't been paying close attention to this organizing effort.
I'm just saying they don't deserve protection if they're going to just roll over. What I wanted to point out, though, is that busybodies got involved here in this story coming from Tribunist.com. A 4-year-old's headstone was removed because one person was offended by it. It's a really sad story. The mother here is devastated after the city council removed her deceased son's headstone following a complaint from another family who said it wasn't in keeping with their family member's plot. Yeah, Max Corbett Gardner was only 4 years old when he died from complications related to severe epilepsy.
Oh, man.
and his mother, Jo Corbett Weeks, scraped and saved for nearly 3 years to get an almost $5,000 specially made headstone of a teddy bear holding a star inscribed with a heart-touching tribute to her son. And I'm looking at this, and all of that is true. It's a gorgeous, it's unique.
$5,000, that's a lot of money.
It's unique. Which it certainly stands out. It's polished granite with a teddy bear on it, and I imagine they paid a lot of money for it, and it says really nice things about him being their star in heaven and all that, and it's sad.
And the city has pulled that.
The city's taken it down because of one complaint.
It's incredible.
The number's 855.
It doesn't look like the rest of the headstones.
855-450-3733. You're ruining my headstone with your headstone. 855-450-FREE, Free Talk Live.
Are you suffering with hearing loss? Are you sick of people constantly complaining that your TV is too loud? Are you tired of asking people to speak up? Would you like to hear more clearly, but you don't want to wear a hearing aid that makes you look old? Then you need to try Listen Clear, a life-changing breakthrough precisely designed by top audio engineers to fit your ear almost invisibly. And you can adjust Listen Clear to find the perfect way to hear everything, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. And right now you can try Listen Clear absolutely free, with free shipping. We'll even give you free batteries for life. So call now, 1-800-718-3929. Listen Clear is lightweight and completely hassle-free, and it's practically invisible. Call for your 100% free home trial with free shipping and free batteries for life. For free information, call now. 1-800-718-3929. That's 1-800-718-3929. 1-800-718-3929.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $7.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
I just heard the best sales pitch I've heard in a long time on an airplane. The flight attendant announced, "If you paid more than $75 for your round-trip ticket, you overpaid." This is brilliant because everybody on the flight paid more, and I was struck by how all the road warriors stopped typing and reading and working and looked up. The announcement invited us to apply for the airline's credit card. And the sign-up bonus? Enough frequent flyer miles for a free round trip. Talk about turning lemons into lemonade. With some banks offering free credit cards, $75 is an outrage for an annual fee, but a bargain for airline tickets. For more tips on communicating more effectively, hit survivalspeech.com, where you can see how I got the CEO of another major airline to shower me with freebies. I'm Holland Cook.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
CopBlock has quickly become the top police accountability group in the United States, and maybe even the world. With chapters across the globe, there's probably a group near you that you can join. If not, you can start your own. Besides joining a local CopBlock group, you can also give just $1 a month to the CopBlock network. Your contribution helps support the efforts of those who make CopBlock possible. So please join the CopBlock network now at copblock.lrn.fm. That's copblock.lrn.fm.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live's live Sunday edition, and you can call in and talk about whatever's on your mind. Right now, what we're talking about is City Council. I didn't even look at where this story came from. I can't remember.
It could be any town, USA. All these stories could be right down the street from you, whether it's the busybodies attacking somebody for their garden, or in this case, one person complaining about a fancy gravestone.
This is in Malvern, wherever Malvern is.
Okay.
I just didn't look that up earlier. Anyway, they pulled a gravestone from a 4-year-old kid's grave, and it's Malvern, Pennsylvania.
Okay, because there's a Malvern, New York, too.
Yeah, maybe it's Malvern, New York. There's just a Malvern, and I'd have to go digging deeper to find out which state it's in. But
anyway,
it could frankly happen anywhere, because this is what busybodies are like. And it's a sad story that this little this dead kid's gravestone got taken away from this grieving family because one person complained about it. Let's go to the phones and talk to Jim, calling from Indiana. Jim, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, I like what y'all are doing. I've been a libertarian since I was 18.
Thanks, Jim.
The first time I voted.
Me too.
Man, you really know what you were doing. Took me a long time to get there, Jim.
I'm 59 now, and I'm applying. That's another story. Guys, I bet you our country is in HE double toothpick trouble. All right, deep.
Yeah.
They lying to us left and right, and they've been doing it for years and years. And looky, I'll bet you a cup of coffee that within 2 weeks of this election, that he imposes martial law and suspends the Constitution of the United States,
and
then he becomes the dictator of America.
Whoever he is, whether it's Sanders or Trump or whoever.
No, he's saying Obama would do it after the election.
Oh, I'm saying this election. I'm wondering if Donald Trump ain't doing like Ross Perot did several years ago and just getting in a race and getting everybody for him, and then a couple months before the election pulling out.
Well, let's recap briefly. We've been doing this show now since 2002, and so we've ran through a few elections at this point. And every time someone says that they're going to suspend the Constitution right before the election or after the election.
Well, every time means that the last George Bush is the only other president who's been president since we've been doing the show.
Have y'all ever heard of a book called Behold the Pale Horse?
Yes.
By William Cooper?
Yeah, sure. I'm familiar with it.
But it was said both times. It was said not just Bush, but also Barack Obama.
They said that since I was born, like you guys are saying.
What makes you think this time's going to be the time when they suspend the Constitution?
Because there's just all kinds of things that point in that direction.
Like what?
And I don't want to say that over the air.
Well, here's why I don't think they will do that, because we already know the Constitution is
for 1,800,000 miles throughout this country.
What was 1,000,000 miles?
I said my name is Jim, but what I'm saying is I have drove a tractor and trailer.
Oh, okay, your tractor.
1,800,000 miles safe driving throughout this country.
Thank you for your service.
From L.A. to New York to Chicago to Miami, and I've seen a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, and thank you for doing that. It's really you guys keep the country together.
Yeah, I ain't doing it no more. But God be with you and keep you safe.
All right, thanks for the call, Jim. We appreciate it. Look, I'd like to explain why I don't think Jim is right. And I appreciate his call, and I understand where he's coming from. But they don't want to just out and out suspend the Constitution when it's already barely in effect. I mean, you've already got a situation where martial law has been imposed. Remember the Boston bombing, what was a town in Massachusetts that they went through? Not Winchester, but someplace in Massachusetts near Boston. I forget the name of it. But Watertown. TJ the Spy is feeding us information in the background. So they literally went house to house with armed militaristic police, Bearcats, MRAPs. They went in, they pointed guns at innocent people, they demanded they leave their homes, and then they just went in and looked through everything.
Yeah.
Just on the pretense
that's martial law.
That is totally martial law. You've got checkpoints.
These people didn't get to choose whether their houses were shaken down. They were just trotted out at gunpoint. There's no doubt about it.
You got internal checkpoints all over the place. You've got a ridiculous police state that already exists, and the Constitution is only there so it can have lip service paid to it. They're not going to just overtly make some sort of statement. And now it is finally time for this true state of emergency, where it will be martial law all the time and no more Constitution, because that would take the rose-colored glasses off of too many people. I think it would be too obvious of a move. It's much smarter for them to just whittle away and whittle away and whittle away over time.
In the case of the United States government, a lot of people have all the power. And the United States government is the biggest, most powerful government the world has ever seen. Essentially, they are the world's government, with the exception of a few countries that don't want to play ball.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people have a lot of power. They're not going to let one guy take all the power. Now, this is what essentially happened with Caesar in Rome. He was able to take control of Rome, the city, and thus take control of Rome, the nation. And he was able to do it for two reasons. He had a military of his own. He had the, 8th Legion or whatever. I shouldn't be, I don't know what the number was, but he had his own legion. And he had the support of the people. The poor folks were... I hear noises.
Sounds like there's a microphone open. I don't know if our board operator I don't know what you got unmuted over there, Mark, but maybe our board op accidentally opened a mic at his studio.
Not me.
Yeah, that's definitely the board operator talking to us there in our headphones. But anyway, why don't you just... Oh, it was on the computer there, Mark. That was you.
Was it?
You just muted the computer, I think, and that solved that problem.
That said mumble.
Okay. Oh, okay. Thank you for doing that. Okay. Sorry. Technical difficulties.
That's your fault.
No, that's your fault for running the board poorly.
Oh, I see. Because I don't know what all your little pots are.
Yeah, that's right. Basic rules of radio. You don't unmute things. You don't know what they are on the board.
I didn't unmute it. It wasn't just
you left it unmuted when you started the show. You're supposed to look at the board and look and see what's
Julius Caesar.
Unmuted.
No one cares about your muted pots you left unmuted.
No, you left them that way.
I did not leave
You're
them
the one running the board, so you're responsible for it.
I will
ahead
take
with
responsibility for it. I would, however, say that you left it.
Go ahead with your points.
Julius Caesar had a military, and he had the support of the people. The people, he was giving them all kinds of free stuff. Barack Obama does not have the support of the people. His popularity is certainly more than George Bush's was at the end of his term, but he's less than 50%. There's not enough, he's just not well-liked enough to pull the dictator card. He's not going to be, if he wanted to do it, he wouldn't be successful. Americans would rise up. Much of the military would turn against him. There's just no way for that to. This isn't Rome in the first century or first century BC or whatever. You just can't do that. I'm sorry. There may come a president, and I think we should watch for that. We should be ever watchful in this republic for something like that. But I don't think it's going to be this one. And I don't think. I guess I was scared the last time. I fed into the fear that Bush might not leave office, but I'm just not. I'm not going to play that game this go around.
It's
I'm
not
just
going to
not.
work out that way.
I don't like Obama as a president. He is in my opinion, a big fat liar. He ran on transparency, and he's been the least transparent. His least transparent administration. So either he was lying, or he's just terrible at managing those folks in the White House. Either one, unacceptable to me. The number is 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Free Talk Live.
Are your Google search results killing you? Unflattering content in blogs, news articles, online reviews, social media, or other sources can jeopardize your reputation, your business, and your livelihood. Let Reputation.com help. Our patented technology will make the truth about you more visible while pushing down unwanted negative content. Improve your Google search results. Call Reputation.com at 1-800-831-0771 for a free consultation. That's 800-831-0771.
Worried about lead, fluoride, and other contaminants in your drinking water? Get a ProPure with the Pro 1G 2.0 cleanable reusable filter and remove up to 200 contaminants. Drink water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure products, including the new ProMax shower filter. There's a ProPure for you. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com or 800-544-3533.
Free Talk Live.
They're the mafia. They function like the mafia. They think like the mafia. They hire people who think like the mafia. The only difference is they put on a front that there's something legitimate and legal and valid about all of it.
Well, there's no Don in this particular mafia. The Don is the majority of people who went out and voted and then put their new Don in place. And sometimes the Dons change and sometimes they don't. Incumbents are very difficult to unseat, and but their henchmen stay in place the whole time. It's quite a sophisticated mob operation.
It is. Well, it's the mafia that is so successful, that has so brilliantly pulled the wool over people's eyes that they've actually gotten people to give them their children so the mafia can educate them into believing that they need the mafia.
Right. We have free indoctrination camps. Schools for you to send your kids to.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live's live Sunday edition with Mark
and Ian.
The number is 855-450-3733. We're talking about this story where a little 4-year-old boy who died in Malvern.
Terrible.
Yeah. I'm not sure how to pronounce this. If it was in the United States, it'd be called Worcester. But over in England, Worcester, you tell me.
I don't know.
I don't know how they pronounce it over there. And they've got like 30 different accents on that island, so they pronounce it 30 different ways. So I have no idea. The number is 855-450-3733. It's really sad they removed this headstone, though.
They removed his headstone because of one complaint from someone who didn't like it. They said something about how it wasn't of a similar styling as the other headstones. Basically,
this headstone's wrong.
It's a star. There's a star in the headstone
or something. Yeah, I don't even know what the complaint is. Just that it doesn't fit. It's not in keeping with theirs.
And by the way, the mother in this case paid $5,000 to have this headstone. Wouldn't you think that if there was a problem with the headstone, that whoever's running the cemetery, which I presume is the government, since the government's removing the headstones, probably a state-run cemetery, wouldn't they, shouldn't they have to object right then? Like, hey, before we let you put this down,
well, in this
we're going
case,
to tell you it doesn't meet our standards.
They're claiming the mason did not check with them, and so therefore they're allowed to remove it. And they removed it quite quickly, admittedly. So the woman paid for it, paid for the custom thing, and then, to some extent you can say that the stonemason probably should have been checking with the city council to make sure that the headstone was in keeping or whatever, but maybe they never ran into that problem.
It's terrible.
And it seems like... of all the ostentatious crap I've seen in graveyards, this is not that ostentatious, and it certainly isn't some weeping angel that's sneaking up behind you when you're not looking. Let's go to James calling in from Arizona. James, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Oh, Minister Edge, I share your sentiment that I have trouble controlling my temper when I'm dealing with liars, such as yourself. As I was trying to tell your audience last time I tried to speak with you on so-called Free Talk Live, you've been lying and smearing me ever since I started calling into your show. In fact,
what lie?
326. May I continue?
Yeah, I'd like to know what lie.
Johnson, yourself, and Minister Edge, speaking of previous callers, when a caller Witt called in on 327-213, you all had prepared.
He's talking about 2013.
I'm talking about how I just started calling your show, and you had already smeared me with about previous calls when you've since subsequently got your rocks off making fun of me for bringing up previous calls. When you were the first three people, in fact, not just yourself, but the what lies, I can remember them like you said them today, Ian.
Yeah,
but
I know you can.
What lie? Our listeners don't know what you're talking about.
I know that you've been obsessing on whatever it is you consider a lie for years.
What is the lie? If you're going to get on the air and allege that you were lied about, what is the lie?
Well, for instance, you're the one that smeared me by saying I believe all Muslims are aggressors when I'd never used the word Muslim on your show, but you brought up a previous call. The point being that you're the one that brings up previous calls and smears me and then laughs at me. And
so are you saying you're not anti-Islamic?
Having 3 DUIs and you're smearing me and getting your rocks off, believing that I'm some angry drunk that drives drunk all over the place when I don't have 3 DUIs.
How many do you have?
Just like I have never threatened to
How many DUIs
Mark
do you have?
Edge. I've already answered that question. 1. You haven't apologized, let alone never will you, because...
Sure, I'm sorry for getting that wrong. I saw evidence. I saw evidence that said you had 2 of them. So I apologize there.
Really? Okay. Then may I continue? Because I certainly... Mark Edgington's wife and kid are doing just fine. And unlike Mark
but that doesn't mean you haven't threatened them. I haven't
threatened them at all.
Well, anybody who wants to believe... hold on, I'm going to put you on the... No, you may not finish. Anyone who believes that James Wittekind is telling the truth when he says he has never threatened me or my family can go to Things James Wittekind Says on Facebook. Just search Things James Wittekind Says, and you can go there and read it for yourself. Now, he had his claim here for calling in forgiveness. I'd sure like him to talk about that instead of just his complaints over and over again. Because if James can get...
He's a Christian, right?
He can put a few months together of not acting like a braying nut job on the air. I'll make that group private or whatever, and that way we can just remove it from people being able to see it.
I'd love to talk about forgiveness. I like forgiveness.
I'm all for forgiveness here, but he is all about the sins that we may have committed against him in 2013 when we made some generalization or whatever.
Would you be willing? I mean, some of his critiques are fair, I think. Would you be willing to forgive James for threatening your family?
It's going to take some time, but what I need to see, I'm willing to forgive him if I see him acting normal, making telephone calls to the show that are talking about current issues instead of his complaints over and over again about
Dredging
why
up
I'm
the
such a
past.
bad guy.
Yeah.
This is the kind of thing that an insane person that kills people's families does. Right? They obsess and obsess and obsess. Dear God, on 2013, May the 15th, you said this and you said that. And for that, you deserve to die, so-called Minister Edge. I mean, the man's insane. I'm sorry.
He's obsessed. I don't know if he's insane. He's
That's
obsessed.
what obsession is, a form of insanity. And that's what I my whole life, I'll admit it, my whole life, crazy people have made me very, very nervous. I believe as long as a person acts crazy and like they can't control themselves, this isn't the first time we've had this conversation with James. We've had it every time he calls in because he's insane. Like, he just won't listen. And James, whatever your problem is, I get it. You've been wronged. I've wronged you. Ian's wronged you.
I've been wronged by a bunch of people. I just let it go.
You gotta get over it because I don't care. Whatever it is that you think I did to you, I don't care. You are a nut at this point. I don't care what you think. You're simply a threat to me, and I'm not going to treat you well. Too bad. You want to be treated well? Act like you want to be treated well. Don't come on my radio program and demand, I want you to say you're sorry. No, I'm not going to say I'm sorry to some lunatic who's threatening my family. You've escalated this as far as you possibly can escalate this. And tough noogies. You're not getting nothing from me, pal. You got two choices. You can to live a better life. Here's your two choices to live a better life. Call in, act like a normal person, or stop calling. Because it's not going to get any better. Your system stinks. Your system for dealing with us stinks. You're not holding anyone accountable. Everybody thinks you're a villain. Stop it. So sick of this guy.
Toll-free number tonight is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
I should go to the page and just read the stuff he said about my family and the harm he wishes to... He wants to blow up my house, things like that.
Well, he doesn't usually say he wants to, right?
Wouldn't it be a shame if some nut from Arizona came and blew up your house? You know, that kind of thing. That's not a quote, but he says... threatening things that a reasonable person...
It could be interpreted as a threat. Like he dances around it.
You should interpret the things that he says as a threat. Go to things James Wittekind says and see whether you agree with Ian that maybe possibly this could be considered a threat by somebody, or...
No, I can understand why...
Are these friggin' threats?
Yeah, I can understand why they could be taken that way. I think that, he, like Tom in New Hampshire sometimes when he calls and sort of dances around threatening the police. Tom in New Hampshire will call in. He called in earlier tonight.
Tom wants other people to do the job for him.
Right. But it's still the same kind of dancing around. Tom won't actually come right out and advocate for killing the police, but he will certainly suggest it in a way that's not direct.
The number is 855-450-3733. Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE.
Are you searching for your soulmate? Someone you can trust, who will never betray you? Or cooperate with the NSA? Stop searching. With EasyDNS, you found a keeper. EasyDNS does it all. Domain names, web hosting, and managed WordPress hosting. EasyDNS stands up for your internet freedom. And with servers in Canada, they do not cooperate with the NSA. Go to EasyDNS.com. You'll love their services or get a full refund. They guarantee it. And they accept Bitcoin. That's EasyDNS.com.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phone, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
What would your life be like if you woke up each morning with new vitality, feeling better than you have in years, and you noticed a difference in your sleeping patterns, blood sugar levels, and had a sense of well-being overall? There's something that is changing thousands of people's lives, and you could be one of them. It's called Heart and Body Extract. Sharon Harris, co-creator of Heart and Body Extract, talks about the positive effects of Heart and Body Extract.
What happens with the formula Heart and Body Extract is it's giving the body the necessary vitamins, minerals, amino acids, enzymes, and phytonutrients so the body will heal itself. And yes, the body does have the ability to balance blood pressure, balance cholesterol, clean and unclog the arteries. It can also work on balancing the circulation for diabetics. So the body is an amazing thing. It simply needs some help so it has the tools to heal itself.
Heart and Body Extract gets results. To order your 2-month supply, call now, toll free at 866-295-5305. Order online at hbextract.com.
I'm Ian Freeman, host of Free Talk Live. We've been covering Uber for years on the radio with their ongoing legal cases across the globe defending your right to give people rides without asking government permission. I wanted to support Uber more directly, so I signed up to be a driver. It's fun to meet new people and help Uber push forward innovation. As of this recording, Uber is active in 67 countries, so there's a good chance they're available in your area. If you'd like to drive for Uber and make some money helping people get where they want to go, sign up at drive.freetalklive.com, and you'll get a $100 bonus after you complete a certain number of trips. With Uber, you can drive anytime you want. You set your schedule. To get started, you need a good driving record, 4-door vehicle, insurance, registration, and to pass a background check. It costs nothing to sign up, so visit drive.freetalklive.com. That's drive.freetalklive.com. And if you just want to try Uber as a rider, visit ride.freetalklive.com. Your first ride's free. Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Stouffer's, helping bring your family together with wholesome dinner options, even on the busiest of nights. Find dinner table ideas to bring your family together at letsfixdinner.com. To get kids involved in dinnertime conversation, ask specific questions, not broad ones. Instead of what happened today at school, try what was the best thing that happened today. The more specific you are, the more they'll have to say. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Toll-free call-in line is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You can call in and talk about whatever you want. We maybe can get you on here in the final segment. It's Mark with you.
And Ian.
Tell me about how I should do my online shopping.
You should do it at shop.freetalklive.com. You'll get the same great Amazon prices you're used to, and Free Talk Live will get a cut of the sale. It's, Amazon. They've still got the same great prices and free Super Saver shipping and the Prime and, all the reviews. It's just you're entering through our affiliate link, so Free Talk Live will get a portion. It's like 7%, so it's actually not bad. It's 7% on most things. It can be as low as 4% on electronics because there's just not as much of a markup there. But we sure do appreciate it when you do that. You get the stuff you want. You get great deals, and Free Talk Live gets a cut. Just start your shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
Let's go to the phones. We got Jeff in Illinois. Jeff, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Jeff.
They say, I've heard that meat is a poison and alcohol is the antidote, so maybe James is trying to medicate himself there.
Because he eats meat?
Possibly. He should eat more beets instead, because beets get rid of... get rid of the constipation, according to one doctor on the radio, as well as hypertension and other problems.
I support the consumption of beets.
Constipation
absolutely.
could make someone irritable.
Well, I think exercise is probably the place to go.
If you're constipated?
And just generally, if you want to have a better life for yourself.
Sure. Get out of the house.
Yeah, get out, get some and
fresh
walking.
air.
I'm not talking about the most strenuous of exercise. Oh, that's probably not the worst thing in the world to work your way up to. But
so if he's living in the mom's basement, then he either playing too many video games or whatever.
People have alleged that. We don't know specifically what's going on in his life.
I don't care.
I'd like to know less about what's going on in his life.
Yeah,
frankly,
I really don't care.
I wish I didn't have to consider him a threat. Thanks.
That was great the other day when you had the lady on there, and she, that was pretty good to see him, how women react to him, and react. Oh, I gotta watch.
You're talking about when we had Renee on. Renee was on the show this last week, and James called while she was on, which was interesting because that had never happened before.
Did he call her all kinds of names? He seems to like to do that when
he wasn't nice to her.
Yeah.
I didn't recall that. What he said about that, but what is her show that I would look up on YouTube?
It's Anarchy After Dark.
And any specific one I would look for?
I don't know.
Yeah, just scroll through them, see what you like. Thanks for the call, Jeff. Appreciate it. 855-450-3733. Going to David in California. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, howdy, all.
Hey, David.
Hey, I might have mentioned this the last time I called. I was watching C-SPAN 3 about 2 weeks ago.
My God, there are 3 C-SPANs?
Oh, yeah, and as a matter of fact, C-SPAN 3 is only basically delivered to about 1% of America.
Huh.
It's very difficult. Most cable channels don't offer.
What do they cover?
The most obscure hearings.
Oh, yeah.
And so, but you can still go to the C-SPAN main website.
Is it all federal government hearings?
It can be all sorts of very strange things. But the one I was going to describe is the Department of Treasury was going before the Appropriations Committee. They'd put forth their 2017 budget, and the Department of Treasury Secretary, the guy's name is Jack Lew, L-E-W. He's being grilled about, what he wants to spend this Department of Treasury money on. And so one of the questions that he was asked was whether or not banks should be allowed to offshore their servers. Now, if you go down to your local bank and you deposit some check, do you think that money is in town? Do you think it's at their corporate server? And then if that corporate server gets delivered to the Cayman Islands, say, does that mean that bank is an international bank and that your money is really in the Cayman Islands? And so if they
I don't know.
Well, you see, with this whole thing, if somebody embezzles your check and you go down to the local DA and he tries to get the money back, and then you discover that it's overseas in the server, then you got to get into the U.S. district attorneys in order to try to get your money back.
Well, I would think that the local it would seem like you should be able to do business locally on something like that because otherwise the district attorney just say you can't do business in the county anymore.
Well, now hold on. Look, banks are in the United States regulated heavily by the federal government. They're all FDIC insured. You can't have a bank that's basically not unless it's a community. What's the other thing besides a bank that you're in? A credit union.
FDIC. Right?
Credit union has something different that's the equivalent of the FDIC for credit unions. Anyway, they're all heavily regulated by the government, and so there's no way that a bank would be able to tell you, well, sorry, we just can't give you your money because our server's offshore. I mean, that just wouldn't fly with the amount of regulations they have.
This is coming up in the TPP. And so he's being asked...
The Trans-Pacific Partnership?
Exactly. And so he's being asked by this congressman whether or not the TPP is allowing this. And so Jack Lew's answer is this weaselly kind of half-assed thing where he says, we agree with local management, but he's still a supporter of the TPP. And local management is a pretty nebulous phrase when it comes time to discover whether or not your money is really in America or whether it's in the Cayman Islands. If you know how the derivatives worked of 10, 15 years ago, where they looted America, by creating fake money and lending it Here in California, Japan is really tomorrow.
Well, you got to remember that the banks have the permission from the government to make money out of thin air. It's called the fractional reserve system. So all of the things that the banks have done, they've done with the blessings of the state. And then when they were finally bailed out by the state, that again was yet another blessing from the state.
In some cases, it was a curse. Some of them didn't want necessarily to be involved, but had to be.
Sure.
Well, pay attention to this scandal, because this is a really profound one. One of the big things.
I think the TPP is just too much for Americans to figure out. I mean, it's just this sort of looming thing, just like NAFTA.
I doubt Congress has figured it out. I mean, how many pages is the TPP?
And
they haven't read it.
It's a million scandals, and this is just one of them. Because in the old days, 1776 logic was that this king on the other side of the ocean was making demands. He knew nothing about whether or not Georgia was going through a drought, or if there were floods in Virginia, or any of the 13 colonies were going through blights or anything else. He demanded his obeisance, and he didn't care what happened. So once we won the American Revolution, the banking system, nobody wanted to make Georgia a colony of New York, so each state set up their own banking laws, and in fact every county would sometimes create laws so that a county bank couldn't do business on the other side of another county.
Well, things have changed since then. The federal government has taken over completely. Look, here's what I'd recommend, and I'm certainly no investment advisor or anything like that. Don't keep any more money in a bank than you can afford to lose, because whether it's the bank, holding your money offshore, or the feds coming in and raiding your safe deposit box, or just freezing your accounts on whatever suspicion of cash transactions or whatever their excuse, the feds can come in and take your bank account anytime they want to, whether it's the IRS,
all they have
the
to
FBI.
Do is send a little letter.
Yeah, exactly. And the banks are going to jump through the hoops, or whether it's the banks doing some sort of scam. It doesn't matter. Just don't put anything in there that you can't afford to lose. Thank you for the call tonight, David. I appreciate it. You shouldn't necessarily trust the banks, but you kind of have to some extent. So, because as long as you're doing business, you generally need to have some sort of banking in order to pay bills and whatever else, to accept checks and et cetera, et cetera. But thankfully, we have this amazing thing called Bitcoin now, which is a decentralized currency. So if you're worried about where your money is stored, because, David might be right. Maybe the bank is storing your money somewhere where you don't know where it is, or maybe it's subject to being hacked or stolen or whatever. If it's Bitcoin, then it's decentralized. Bitcoin is not stored in some location in the Cayman Islands. Bitcoin is stored on the cloud, if you will. It's in this thousands of computers that are out there.
It's the biggest computer in the world.
Right, running these Bitcoin full nodes, as they're called. If one of those computers gets hacked, Bitcoin doesn't go down. You'd have to take the entire internet down in order for Bitcoin to go down. So Bitcoin is basically unhackable, uncrackable, it's cryptographically secure, and you essentially have become, if you have a Bitcoin wallet, you've become your own bank. At that point, you have total control over your Bitcoin.
That's what I love about it. Bitcoin really gives you the power over your money, and nobody needs to know how much you have. Nobody needs to know anything about it.
That's true.
And they don't have access to it.
And if you want to learn more about Bitcoin, I would start by going to bitcoin.com. It's a great website, great introductory site. That's bitcoin.com.
Check us out in the meantime at freetalklive.com, and our Facebook page is facebook.freetalklive.com. It's been Mark with you.
See you tomorrow. See you.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement, and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
The Call to Freedom is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Sunday, April 3rd, 2016. Silver is trading at $15.05.